Yeah.
You do all the talking.
All right, so now we're recording.
Okay, so the special meeting, or it's not a special meeting, it's a group meeting, group 3 will come to order. Well, it is the special meeting of group 3, isn't it? I didn't want to misguide that. Okay. At 3:04. And we have with us Park and Rec, our Park and Rec Chairman, George Bennington, and you can introduce yourselves.
Hank Green.
And Green and
Doug Murphy.
got it. All right. All right, you want to start, or what would you like to cover? Have you gone over, first of all,
Really, the floor is yours. We've never
Okay.
done this. I have
All right.
not done this before. I don't know if you guys have.
No.
I have not done this. So we're just here to answer your questions.
Yeah, and I think we have one or two specific questions about the Parks and Rec section.
Sure.
But we've also just been asking everyone.
Yeah.
You guys have been here a long
There is
time.
one topic I want to bring up,
Yeah.
and we can do that towards the end.
Yeah, I mean, we can start wherever you want.
wherever.
You know, some of the general topics have been elected versus appointed, as I'm sure you've heard, those kind of things. So if you want to, you can start where you want.
I personally feel that the role of Park and Rec, we are more of a consultative advisory committee, don't have any authority to hire or fire or something like that. So I think the appointment has worked well, and I have personally had no issues with it.
Agreed.
Agreed as well.
so you're all in favor of appointment over an election?
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's been no disruption that would make you feel otherwise? That's,
I
Yeah.
can't conceive that someone's gonna run for election for a park and recreation.
well, you know,
seat.
that was my next, how many people would run? That's always another concern, yeah.
I think it would be, when I've tapped a couple of new folks as people have gone off, they've been thrilled to be asked. But I think if you said, well, you got to run for election, they'd be like, maybe not. Because you have to sort of then put yourself more in the public spotlight, per se.
Mhm.
So I think the appointment works well. We can find, good qualified people. Our last appointment, I talked with Doug about, and he made a recommendation. It was fantastic.
Good. So when you find someone like that, you refer them to the respective RTC, DTC, or you refer them to town hall, or
Refer
you
them to
talk to
town
them
hall,
yourself
to
first?
the
or-
first selectman's office,
Okay,
because that they
Process.
they have to be voted in. And of course, we have to have, we're total of 12. I think we have to have a mix between Democrat, Republican constituents.
oh, yeah,
So we
yeah.
make sure that is, we abide by that.
yeah. Well, that would obviously be an opening, you would know about it, or someone leaving, you'd know about it anyway. But it's nice to have a lineup of people that you can refer to and call on if,
Sure,
if an opening becomes available.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that we kind of
Yeah,
ask
we
everyone
try
is
to-
the size of the board feels right.
Mhm.
I think you guys have, and I might be mixing it up, like a range. Does it have to be 12, or is it a minimum of not 7 or
I
something like
think
that?
we are
I might be
full
confused.
complement at 12.
Okay,
7 constitutes a quorum.
got it. Okay.
And usually we may have 1 or 2 absences. Like I wasn't able to make the last meeting and Hank chaired for me. On the next meeting, Hank was going to be out of town. So, but we make sure we have a quorum.
Okay, great. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot about having read the charter, but
Hopefully you'll get the language
after this meeting, it would be great if you could read through it and just make sure that what it says is what actually happens.
Somebody send me a copy.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love you.
The one thing that I, just having participated in some Parks and Rec thing, is the one, I'll just go into this because it's pretty straightforward what they do. So I didn't have any comments on the actual wording within this section, but on or promptly after the first day of November, the commission shall submit an annual report to the Board of Selectmen. Do you guys do that?
No, not to the best. I've never been asked to do that.
Okay.
Our kind of report is kind of the annual budget, which John spearheads, John Howe.
Right.
But in terms of an actual report, no. What we do is we follow, we have obviously our set meetings for the year, which we approve. Then then I have a list of, I think, subcommittee reports, okay? Where because we have a lot of touch points in town. An
Right.
example of that is Doug is going to have Bill Flynn in at our February meeting, who's the director of the Nature Center, because the town
Mhm.
owns the building and the properties, okay? Even though we really don't have much to do with the day-to-day of the Nature Center, okay? It's good that we touch base. And I think the deal with the town, however many years ago it was founded with the Nature Center, if the Nature Center ever ceased to exist as an entity of itself, the town would take it over.
I
Okay,
see. Okay.
so it's good that our commission is aware, abreast of what their activities are. I think Bill Flynn has done a fantastic job. And he gives an excellent report every year. But it's good to know, he has a couple of capital projects, I think, that he liked to take down the greenhouse. A few others. So it's good for our body to be aware of that.
Right.
Is that in the budget this year or going in the budget or
I
has?
don't know.
Because it was
That's good.
discussed last year too. Was it?
Right, that's a
postponed? I'm
good,
trying to remember.
good question.
Yeah.
Did Bill say anything to you?
I haven't met with him yet, but we're planning to meet next week.
Okay.
And the whole idea about the greenhouse was pretty simple. It's
Yeah.
gonna cost more to fix than it would be to.
Oh,
replace
yeah,
it.
no,
Replace
this
it, yeah.
discussion's
So-
been going on a while.
Yeah, I know it has. And, since we own the building, it's kind of falls under the purview of the town, so.
And so we have the Nature Center, we have the New Canaan Athletic Foundation, we have the Powerhouse, we have the Carriage Barn,
Mhm.
we have
Mead, Irwin.
the Irwin Garden Club, the Waveney Conservancy. They all come in every year and kind of give an annual report of what their
Yeah, we've
activities.
been doing that for a while.
Wow, yes,
And I don't remember exactly when that was set up, but it's been a long
it
time.
has been a while. Yeah,
It's
but
been a long time.
it assures that we're in touch with
Well,
everything.
It's town property and its maintenance is certainly town responsibility on
Right.
all these. They
Yeah.
should
Well,
have to
we have
report.
jurisdiction is the approval of the property for certain functions. Like the last meeting, we approved
Mhm.
caffeine carburetors. Okay. What we don't have is an approval if somebody wants to build a structure, okay? Or do any major capital work, then it probably would start with us, but then have to go to board of selectmen, town council,
Right. And some of those processes are defined in here, so not to a high degree. I think they belong in the ordinance, most of that stuff. But if you
Right.
read through it, if there's anything that just seems inconsistent, like actually I'm reading here that this says no fewer than 7 and no more than 11 members. So
Okay.
there might be an ordinance, but it's actually 12. So
12.
this just needs to be.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah,
11
I know
in
it's
the charter?
ordinance at 7.
7 between.
Yeah, you're right.
no
Because
fewer
you
than
have the
7.
Democrat Republic.
Okay.
Okay.
But it might have been changed in an ordinance and it's just not updated. in the
Okay.
charter.
We have 11. Yeah.
Okay, so it is 11, not 12. Okay.
I'm sorry if I said 12.
No, that's okay. Just want to make
What
sure. the
order-
I'm
word-
not a jury alternate here.
What ordinance governs Park and Rec, if any?
Well, I think of the various town ordinances that are in place. An example of that. Hi, Tucker.
Hi, sorry.
Am I talking too loud?
No, it's
No,
fine.
I
I'm
was
right out here,
thinking we were
probably.
being
No,
disrupted.
you're fine.
An example of that was before Christmas, we had a very nice person. She wanted to have dogs let off the leash at Kiwanis, okay, the back half of the property, okay? And in talking with John and the animal control officer, that just was not going to, because that is a town ordinance, is that dogs have to be on a leash unless they're in Spencer's Run, okay? So we really sort of abide by the town ordinances. We did put together a document a couple of years ago about parks policies, okay? This has to do, some of these coincide with town ordinances, like dogs on a leash, that type of thing, picking up your dog waste. Other things were more just to set a good tone, particularly for the different sporting events that happen in town. There, I think there was some very disruptive behavior on some of the parents' part. Doug, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, we were approached by some parents who were concerned about behavior with spectators and sometimes coaches.
Yeah.
And so that kind of led us to the next step, which is put together kind of a rules and regulations document that is kind of a breathing, living document, which we can change. And we've actually changed it since we adopted it. But it's you would think it was very simple things, but it's like, you can't deface property on town property, you know, or in the parks, a lot of different things like that. We abide by, obviously, regulations when it comes to like smoking in public areas. So it's just a lot of those things, just making sure that we checked as many boxes as we could. And also that we would have some recourse if somebody broke one of these rules. If somebody was not behaving at a sporting event, we could say, hey, look, you can't do that going forward.
Yeah.
If you do, then we also have a little bit of, you know, retribution that we can say, look, you're no longer allowed to be at this event. So I think they, you know, it's just basically a fallback position for us.
Well, the
but-
antique cars too, that's been an issue on and off going.
Yeah, and it's set of guidelines. So one thing we enacted was we do not permit e-bikes on the town parks, okay? Even though they're permitted on town roads, okay?
That's probably a smart move.
Yeah,
I think it was
because
getting-
we've seen kids zooming around. They're having loads of fun.
Oh, I know, but you know what? A couple people have been hurt, yeah.
Yeah.
More than a couple. Yeah.
So that's, so that, plus some of the tire tread marks they leave on the grass and stuff can be very,
Oh, yeah.
disruptive.
Can I ask you to walk me through the Kiwanis Park committee that was designed to figure out how to frame that or beautify it or use it? Where are you in that
The master
process?
plan.
Pardon?
You're talking about the master plan.
Yes, the master plan.
Right now, that's on hold. Do you want to address it within the confines of this room?
You're
It's
technically,
a public room. Yeah, at this point, it's in the first selectman's office and they're working with John Howe and just to come out with some constructive statements, particularly the use of the pond.
so has the committee's work done?
No, it's not. It's on hold right now. It's been put
The
on the
whole
shelf.
thing's on hold? or
Whole thing's
just
on
the-
hold until we have, until Dion's office comes out with a statement regarding the pond, in which she needs to check with the legal departments and all that stuff.
What was the issue with the pond?
Just at this point, I'd rather not go too
Oh,
far.
was
into
that the issue though, the pond?
the pond. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I didn't know why it had,
yeah, she's, so.
come to a halt.
George, are you going to address this at the next meeting with the commission?
I hope so. I'm hoping we're gonna have a statement by then.
All right, but were the people who lived there and the people that were on it, were they happy with how it functioned up to this point? Or? is
I
it-
believe so. I mean, it started with Keith Ritchie, and then Hank
Yes,
very nicely took it over.
Yeah.
After Keith's unexpected passing, and there was some very constructive open forum meetings in this room where a lot of the neighbors and the residents and the nursery school and the Y all sort of participated.
so it was public input in a
Yes.
wide variety.
Yes.
And the objective was what? The objective was how to use the pond and how to use the surrounding,
Yeah,
what
just
time periods for different people and whether or not there would be a truck, a soda truck or an ice cream truck or a food truck or, I heard all of this, so I didn't know where.
It covered a variety of different topics all over. How can we better utilize that piece of property?
Okay,
And I think there was a lot of good constructive input. As you know, the Y is the largest user of the property
yes, I did
for
know
the
that,
summer
yeah.
camp.
Are we still giving them a contract every summer on
Yes.
certain times? Yeah,
Yes, yeah.
all right,
I think we're in the final year of that contract, if I'm not
all
mistaken.
right.
But yes, I think that's been a very good partnership, and
Good.
the Y has done a very good job running it.
Yeah, I'd like to listen to that. So you think you will have it in the next month? The final? Okay.
No,
All right, no, okay, then I'll pay attention till it does get on the agenda.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
plan is for the committee to eventually decide, what the master plan should look like.
Yeah,
And then it's going to go back into the Kiwanis Park, larger committee, which involves neighbors and folks in New Canaan, for them to comment on. And then we're going to bring it to the commission.
so there isn't,
Have that right order?
this wasn't preparatory work to go to a designer or a master plan consultant. It was all internal.
well, we're in Keith Simpson.
What, but that's internal. Is he being paid?
Yes.
Oh, he is. Oh,
Yes,
all right. And you, how did you arrive at him for
I mean, right, what?
at hiring Keith Simpson?
Because he's been involved in several projects in the
Oh, yeah,
past with
he
Waveney
has,
and
yeah.
elsewhere. So he was the logical choice, and he has, does a nice job of how to approach these type of plans.
All right, so that's where it's at.
Right,
Okay,
right
well,
now, yeah.
Okay, should this, or has this been part of your ordinance or the charter before? This kind of,
Master planning?
well, master plan and oversight of, and I was just wondering
Not,
if it
not to the
should,
best, I can't speak for what maybe happened 5, 10, 15 years ago.
not in my recollection.
No, I don't think so. What this came about is that, Kiwanis is in need of capital, okay? Means an infusion of a lot of capital, in fact. And when John put a couple line items in the budget last year, the Board of Selectmen said, well, why don't we put this in the context of a master plan, okay? So we have a master plan, even though we may not enact it in the first couple of years or a year or two, we know what you need, and, we can sort of take baby steps towards addressing those issues. Okay. And so that's why how it came about.
Okay. But you don't think there needs to be something in writing on issues like this in the Park and Rec Commission as an overview?
Overview, yeah. It's just an overview, and then we'll,
I don't know
see
what to-
see where we go with
how to
it.
do it, but
Mhm.
okay.
Is the master plan for all the parks or is it?
No,
No, just
for one?
Kiwanis,
Okay,
just
yeah.
Kiwanis, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think everybody's done a master plan except we were the last, Irwin, I think was like the last.
Right.
That was done.
Well, with
so-
Irwin, as you know, we partner with the Garden Club. They do a great job. At Waveney, we partner with the Waveney Conservancy,
Right,
and they do a great job. And they have several plans on what they would like to do. And both organizations have master plans for both parks.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question of money.
oh, always,
Yeah.
always, it's huge.
Yeah, and I think 10 years ago, they added to the charter some language around being able to work with donations and
Mhm.
grants. So that is in there now.
That's in there. Anything else though that we should add?
As George
You
indicated-
might want to look at that and give us some language if you think it should be expanded.
As George indicated before, our master plan recommendations for Kiwanis will be purely advisory.
Correct.
Yeah, oh, yeah, no, I
Yeah.
get,
I mean, we can't approve a specific amount to refurbish the basketball courts.
yeah, no, that all goes through the
Yeah.
town bodies, for
Right.
the money and the allocations in the budget. Yeah, of course, yeah.
So,
What can you tell me, if anything, I've called, but I have not gotten through on this beautification commission in Darien and why it was established and whether you think it's a good idea, or do you know enough about it as to, I don't either.
I
And
don't.
I've
Yeah.
left messages and I'm still waiting to hear. I was hoping.
I've heard of it, but I don't know any details. Do you guys know anything?
No, not much.
Yeah, it includes just about everything that you
Right.
can ever imagine. And I don't know how that would be different than what we already do, but I'm just waiting to hear
Right.
any feedback. Anything else that you want? Yeah, sure.
I don't think I have anything specific about the parks, but I did want to get your input on any other things about town government. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Would you mind if I just
Hey,
ask a
oh,
few
please.
questions?
Absolutely. If
And
there,
I'm not a member of Group 3, but thank you for letting me.
No, anytime.
And I appreciate the fact that you haven't had an opportunity to review the charter at this point. So I'll just go quickly through some of the things that we kindly ask you to consider when you do
Sure.
go through it.
Mhm.
And so I'll just go, there's only 6 items in so it's pretty quick. As
Okay.
you pointed out, it is an advisor to, not only to the Board of Selectmen, but also cited here, planning and zoning.
Mhm.
And so I'll just quickly point out that Public Works is another group that you're advising and so forth.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure that we haven't left anything out that you're currently doing and that you might want to consider also adding to the charter. So that's one concept. And so when you go through those 6 items, we'll send you the link. It's right on it's on the town website if you want to get to it before we send it to you. So the first thing is just on the qualification of members. You're one of the only commissions that actually has a minimum and a maximum 7 to 11 members. Everybody else has a very stated 12 members, 5 members, what have you.
Mhm.
Don't know why that concept came up, but I would imagine that as you have people who are no longer serving, they've moved out of town or what have you. It's nice to have that sort of range, if you will, so you're
I
not
agree.
compelled to fill that like, within
Right.
60 days or what have you. So
Sure.
I am not suggesting that it changes, but are you comfortable with the, no fewer than 7, no more than 11? You're not thinking that you'd ever go lower than 7, or there be any reason to,
No,
or
I think
any,
it's-
any greater than 11?
We've got a very good diverse group and,
Good.
very good diverse group that I think how we're presently organized right now is a good representative of the town.
Okay,
And I certainly wouldn't want less. And if you get too many, then it becomes one who would.
right. Have you ever found yourself in a situation that involved a split, a tie? What? Ever?
Only last time when I was elected over Rana and the. that was it.
Does the first selectman
So
break
the
the
first
tie?
selectman
or-
it's not the next 50, because again, you're advisory and.
Right, Exactly, yeah.
Okay, just wanted to.
We've had only one controversial,
Come on.
I beg your pardon?
we've had only one controversial thing ever brought before us, which really didn't move forward. If you remember, Jehovah's Witnesses asked if they
Right.
could proselytize in Mead Park. And we tabled that. And then, and that would have been, I think, controversial and also probably would have involved the town attorneys. But then the Jehovah's Witnesses withdrew
Mhm.
that request. So it never came, it never happened.
It's an interesting question, though, if anything like that ever came up, if somebody wanted some sort of religious activity, and there's very specific activities that are picnics, town events, for instance, family board is not specifically laid out here, but that would be an example of something. Camping carburetors is not specifically laid out, but that's something like, again, you approve them, correct?
Yes.
Is there any other body that can overrule your? approval?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I mean, the town council and board of selectmen could overrule us.
Okay,
Yeah, and that has actually happened.
okay.
Ice rink.
Yes, yeah.
They were to raise money. They wanted to do some advertising on the inside of the boards. So it wouldn't be visible if you're walking your dog or something like that inside. We thought it was fine because it wouldn't really impact him, but the town council said no, because
Okay.
I mean, it's, as you know, it's a town ordinance about any commercialization.
So does that mean that everything that, all of your decisions have to get town council approval? Like,
No,
what's
not
the
necessarily.
process for
No,
them
If
saying
it's
no?
counter to town ordinance, yes, it could be overturned or supported. And again, we can approve, let's say, certain events, like caffeine and carburetors, okay? The Carriage Barn has an annual arts festival in September, which we can approve, okay? We have a couple of things coming up on the February agenda. One is from the Girl Scouts that have an initiative that they want to do. One is from the Boy Scouts, the Ice Cream and Rockets event, okay? A couple, so those, I should say, we're in our purview there, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Also, we had a young man, Eagle Scout project, who wanted to put cornholes at Mead Park. Thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
So we want to be supportive of those. things.
Permanent fixtures, the cornholes? What do you mean?
He built it himself.
Okay, so the permanent structures, if you will.
They're not, no, they're not
Oh,
permanent.
oh, okay.
And we were very clear that if the town at some point needed to move them to another park or another location, they could.
Oh, yeah, you have to, yeah.
So maybe just two other questions, I'm sorry. and then
No,
we'll-
I can jump in too.
Appointment in terms of office, initially commented about how you go through the process of, you have an opening, how is it considered and so forth. And one of the things we're, as a commission, thinking about, is there a consistent process that we might want to think about when there is an opening on a board or commission? How does one apply? How do we consider, we all apply to be on this particular commission. We filled out a questionnaire, we submitted our resumes, it was evaluated by the town council, and that was the group was selected. That process doesn't exist in any others right now. It's
Right.
sort of a different process and informal, if
Sure.
you will. And so how do you feel about that, though? If there was a more formal process that said such and such a slot is open on Park and Rec, and we want to put it up Fairfield.
Like a job posting type of thing, or?
Yeah, Town Fairfield, for instance, has on their website, these are the posts that are currently open, kind of, you have till February 2nd to apply. please submit your level of interest, et cetera. Is that something that might be of interest to you? And would it be helpful to you as you think about making sure that you have between 7 and 11 members?
How about you guys answer that first? I'm thinking about it. What do you?
Doug, over to you.
Over to me. I don't see that it would hurt. I mean, personally, I joined because George had been talking to me for a while. There was a position
always
that
yeah.
came up. And he said, if another position came up, would you be interested? And I said, sure. But I've also put my name in the hat with Parks and Rec in previous administrations and was not selected. So I'm not sure.
What
how
was
that
the
process
feedback?
works.
Was that the RTC or DTC, or was it just town hall?
No, it was the chairman of the commission at the time.
Oh, it was.
Just said that
Interesting.
there wasn't an opening and
Yeah.
we'll get back to you if there is one.
It used to
That didn't
be a very active RTC and DTC in terms of recruiting and finding qualified candidates and then referring them to the Board of Selectmen. I don't know, that doesn't seem to be as active now. It was extraordinary, I thought. I thought they both did
Sure.
a really good job. I think maybe could be
Yep.
We'll talk about
managed.
this.
Our
Yeah, I
informal
think so,
process,
yeah.
Our last one, I had asked him to put together a resume, send it to me, and then I sent it
Yeah.
on to
That
town
seems to
hall.
be, yeah.
And then, so that way, Deanna had something to go to the Board of Selectmen with.
Yeah.
And obviously, we kind of knew this
Mm-hmm.
person too. He had been involved with the town's IT subcommittee. He'd been involved in a lot of sports. He involved, so he was a very active member of the
Already.
community. Yes.
Yeah.
On that front.
That's a good way to find people.
Yeah, it was
But, yeah.
more by referral,
Yeah.
which I would say is more of an informal process than a formal process. But that way too, we can select who we feel is going to be a good fit for the
Mhm.
Commission to now. But at the same point, if you guys wanted to do a posting and we had to review half a dozen candidates, that's well within your purview to do that.
Yeah, well, essentially, it would be the town. We're just making recommendations.
We're just a little cog in the wheel here.
I'll just ask two more. So term limits for an appointed position, as you think about your commission and the number of folks that you have. I don't know what the average terms the folks that sit on your commission have, but how do you feel about term limits? And when I say that, we have one commission, the ethics committee, that has term limits. It's 3 consecutive
Right.
terms. So
Is that
9
ethics or
years.
audit?
I beg your pardon?
Is that ethics or audit?
Audit. Did I say
Okay,
ethics?
yes, that's fine.
Forgive me.
It's recorded. I'm just making it for the record.
Right.
And so there's 3 terms.
Mhm.
Well, how do you feel about term limits? There are no term limits other than the.
Right.
Is there any others?
My personal limit, personal opinion, excuse me, I think it works well as it is because I gauge it by how active the person is on the commission. We had a situation, not a situation, but person, he got another job. He rarely made any of the meetings. I had to, call him a couple of times, like, hey, you gotta be here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because there is a stipulation, you can't miss more than 4 meetings.
Great,
Great,
actually.
great, okay.
Well, it was 3 in a row. Now I think it's sort of 3, but technically
Three in a row.
it's
So,
3 in a row.
And
Yeah.
then when his term was up, he opted out.
Yeah, okay.
So.
And you
I-
anticipated that. I mean, it's
Oh, yes,
it's the
yeah.
interest level and the participation. Yeah, you always know.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
generally,
So
yeah.
I am, I think if somebody, it really depends on their activeness. I mean, you've been on the commission for quite some time, but Hank is, one of our, is a treasure for us. I mean, so,
Second only to Gene Goodman,
yeah.
Yeah.
who's been on for longer than I have.
Right. Yeah. Gene has been active with the Ice Rink Association, a
Yeah.
few other initiatives. So,
He's coming after Ellen today. So,
Okay.
yeah, I thought keep it all together, that what we
Sure.
learned. Yeah.
so I think it works well as it is now.
Okay.
As long as you're the chair and the department is saying, if someone is not active, that we need to replace them, or him or her at some point.
I yield my time because I know you have.
No, I'll
So
refer to
guys,
Todd.
sorry I'm late. I had it down for 3:30, so I apologize.
It's
No, no
okay.
worries.
It was so
I'm
long
George
list
Bennington, by the
today.
way.
It's a heavy.
I'm George Bennington.
Yeah,
Sorry, I
Todd
should-
Lampert, how are you guys?
You guys, okay.
Yeah. My question is, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to review the charter, but do you think the right amount of oversight is there with the Board of Selectmen overseeing what you're doing? Do you think there should be more oversight, less oversight, or do we have the charter correct on how things work if they're outside your scope?
I don't have an issue. I think there's good oversight and it's, you say oversight, I say support.
Support. Yeah.
And I think both Kevin and Deanna have been very supportive.
Yeah.
When I email her and something, I say we need to meet, she's right back to us on us. So like the parks and policies, we met with her about that and she was very supportive. So it's, I have not felt a lack of support on that. And we, for the most part, like, so we've seen eye to eye on all the different issues. You know, obviously, but you know, as town government is the allocation of scarce resources. So if you came in and said, hey, guys, what would you like on your Christmas list? Okay, we would have, you know, it'd be 101 line items, okay, costing tens of millions of dollars. You know, obviously, so, you know, but that's, we have to take one thing at a time. We understand the constraints of that.
But from a governmental standpoint, you think it runs well right now?
Yes.
You're happy with the way things run? Any recommendations you can make to us that you think would be helpful on how things should be run differently?
The only thing I would say, and this was John Howe mentioned this to me, and I mentioned it to you for consideration, okay? Right now, is everything, it works well. It is not broken. Under the town charter, the parks maintenance falls under DPW, okay? Do we want to have park maintenance now fall under Park and Rec? And DPW focuses on the roads and whatever, okay? Or do we want to keep them, do we want to separate it or keep them together? Okay,
So if you were king, what would you do and why?
you know, it's interesting. I see the pros and cons of both, okay? And Tiger does a great job, John does a great job, maybe where John has some more access to maintenance facility might be helpful. But again, it's just for your consideration. I don't think this is a lightning rod issue right now.
Yeah.
Tiger and John get along extremely well.
Yeah.
Tiger's been enormously supportive. He understands capital projects very, very well to do that. So I'm not, like I said, it's also something what you have to look at is 5, 10, 15 years down the road. If potentially you have two department heads that are squabbling over something.
Right. Was it ever within the Parks Department? Because I know the wording changed 10 years ago about
It's
maintenance.
interesting, good
Not
question,
about
because
the-
what happened was, when I first got on the commission, Steve Benko, who was the recreation director, reported directly to the first selectman's office. John Howe, who was the park superintendent, reported to Tiger Mann. Okay. When Steve sadly passed away, what we did is we basically combined the commission to Park and Rec director, which many townships have done over the years. Okay, I was kind of surprised that we hadn't done it years ago, but that's a whole other topic. So we combined it into one, where John now reports to the first selectman, as does Tiger. Okay, but the maintenance, like you said, still falls under DPW. Okay. Do we want to provide language that provides potential flexibility of that going forward? Maybe. But again, I want to stress that there are no issues, no personality conflicts. There's no internal squabbling or anything.
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
that's not the issue. Look, you know, as a revision commission, right, we're trying to do stuff or make recommendations that'll affect the next 10 years and make things better.
Right.
And sometimes just not being broken isn't the best answer. Sometimes we
Right.
can make them better.
Mhm.
And so that's what we're looking for here. So
Right.
your advice and your ideas are appreciated.
Mhm. So maybe some language that provides flexibility, if at some point that is a necessary step
Yeah.
to take,
Okay.
might be in order. But again, I'm not trying to take away from Tiger, not at all.
Yeah, and we'll read through this and see if that, because I think that combination of Parks and Rec together, the leadership combination happened since the last charter. So I don't know off the
Right,
top of my
yes.
head if any
Yeah,
of this
you're
wording
right.
is, so we'll take a look at that too.
Right, and there was a fairly big step change at the time too, which had to be done. It went through the proper approval processes.
It was
and
a
everything,
lot of budget discussion about
But
it.
there was
yeah.
it had to go for. I mean, and Jen, you were
Oh,
first
yeah.
selectman when they were
Yeah. Well,
separated.
initially, but we combined all this under me as well as the Board of Ed.
Oh, you did?
Everybody was doing their own thing and that wasn't working either.
Well, I understand.
And, and one parent would call and complain about sprays on a field and another one would say no, and then that wasn't their purview or somebody was. So we put it all together and I thought that has worked much better. Now, whether you want a little bit more flexibility now, but the sprays was the controlling factor,
Right.
insecticides and all that. That's really what drove it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call your attention to the section in the charter. It's under the Public Works Department. It's C17-7, and it's the maintenance of public grounds, including parks. I'm just going to read you the last sentence. And it says the Department of Public Works shall not undertake any new construction in park, playground, or recreational area, except that for which funds have been appropriated, and then only after consultation with the Parks and Rec Commission.
Okay.
So there is sort of there's a dialogue.
There's a check and balance
There should
there.
have been. There should be.
And there should be.
Well, there
Yeah.
should- there is, there is.
It's there, and
Right.
so, I mean, if you felt that it ever wasn't, you point to the charter and say, no, this has to happen.
Well,
Right.
the question is, if it's there, do they actually do it? That's the question.
That's
right?
the
So that's
question.
on you guys to make
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
you use what's there for yourselves.
Sure.
One suggestion might be for a belt and suspender, it's already here under Public Works. You might want to take something similar and restate it under the Parks and Rec
Yeah.
article, just for clarification.
Oh, that's
What,
good.
what commission does DPW fall under, or does it
There's no
fall?
commission that, it's the only operating department in town that has no oversight commission.
Okay,
I mean, unless you want to include Board of Select, which effectively.
right, effectively does, yeah.
Anybody else have any recommendations, you guys? We're all here to make things
Yeah.
better, so.
Or think it through in a more,
Yeah, and by the way,
Sensible
if
way.
something comes to you tomorrow, the next day, we're
Call
gonna be here,
us.
yeah, let us know. We look at this as like a collaborative bit of work that we're doing with everybody. So, all recommendations are really appreciated.
Sure. No, we appreciate what you guys are doing. I think there was an excellent editorial in the Sentinel last week regarding the charter review. And I thought it was a very, if you read they focus on the kind of the Board of Ed.
Yeah.
But in the first couple paragraphs, it explains why this is important.
Mhm.
Great.
On that
He's
front.
coming into our next meeting. He's
Yeah.
my last one. Oh, exhausting.
Anybody else have any
Yeah.
questions?
Yeah, I
That's
think we're,
good.
we're gonna move
Yeah.
on to,
Yeah. you want me to-
Sorry I'm late again, guys.
No, no,
Yeah, Thank
no,
you.
no.
guys for
Thank you
your
for
time.
coming. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
adding
Thank
to
you very
my
much.
last minute agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
This will be more interesting.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
All right,
You
we
wear a
have,
jacket, Hank? Or good? Let's see. Please.
we have Ellen Gravato with us from the library and you're by yourself, I guess, right? You are, so you are we are all yours, all ears.
yeah, so as you probably know, the library is barely mentioned in the charter, so
I know.
you're here as a citizen as well.
Sort of
Um,
unfortunate, but
and-
it's okay.
And, and I guess you could start with maybe just the fact that it's not mentioned in the charter. I mean, it is,
But it's,
but
there's
it's
not a
just like,
lot.
a
yeah.
line.
One sentence.
Yeah, one sentence. Do you have any thoughts on it? Have you?
Would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I don't know that we need to make it more formal. I mean, if it clarifies the role and the commitment to providing a library service in town, I think that would be welcome. It's certainly something that is covered, I think, by the Connecticut general statutes. But if we wanted to put in an affirmative sentence that said the town will provide a library service,
Right. Yeah, right now
I'd
it's
be
more of
happy to have
a,
that in there.
yeah, right now it's really just more, the only real statement. I think maybe it comes up in some of the Board of Finance stuff as well, but it just, there's from 1947, apparently, there's a statute that.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah, library directors shall not be elected by the town or appointed by any officer. So.
Yeah,
that's
so,
really-
but what that means actually was, that's the last page of your charter. And I think that would be worth clarifying because that is under the heading of a library board, which I think we should also just reflect the fact that we have a board of trustees. It's not really referring to library directors,
Right.
right? That's a question of our trustees are independent because we're an independent 501c3 and we provide a library service at the pleasure of the town, right? Whether or not the town is obligated to provide a library service to its citizens, I think is maybe not for me to answer, but I think under Connecticut law, that is a requirement of municipalities.
I thought it was.
Mhm.
Isn't that specifically stated in the statute?
I wish I could say I was
I
the legal
remember
expert
at
on
one
this
point,
for
yeah.
you, Judy, but I'm not.
It's all
So,
right,
but
we
it's
can
my
double check
understanding
that,
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we don't know what the special statute 1947 is. And I did ask
Yeah.
to have clarification from
I
Nick.
actually looked it up and I found it. I printed it, but I can't tell you exactly what it says. But I think that there must have been something where they didn't want the library to be officially part of town government.
Yes.
And that's what they were trying to say is that it's got.
I'd be
it's got
curious
an
to know,
independent-
because we did a little bit of, tried to do some research and we were sort of directed back to some physical files in Hartford that
Okay.
we may be forgiven
they might
for
be-
not seeking.
They're online now, I think. Yeah.
Okay,
I can
well,
send it to you if you're curious.
I am curious to see what you found.
I think it's actually misnumbered in here. This one's called 434. I think it's actually like 484.
Is
That's the level of detail that I looked up this thing. Just.
I was gonna say, is that the legislative history you're referring to on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that sound right to you? Yeah, yeah.
So could you just clarify for me, Todd, what that
Yes,
is?
So the area to really look at before the statute comes out is the legislative history, how they came up with these laws. And if you do some research and stuff that you may not have seen, is the legislative history behind the statute and the discussions with it. And if you do your research, you can go back and find out how things came about, who talked about what, and what the history is.
We were hoping to have that summary from Nick Bramante. So I mean, I'd love to see what you
Yeah,
think.
No, no, I
I'll
think
show you.
I think it's really a good thing to look at,
Mhm.
for where you're at, to know how this all comes about and where they expect it to go. So.
Yeah. I mean, the idea of putting, I mean, it's a statute, so doesn't necessarily need to be in the charter, but I do like the idea personally of recognizing the library's necessity.
Yeah,
in
I
the
think we
charter.
ought to take a look at
Yeah.
that language and help us out, see
Yep.
and you like library board of trustees as the
Yes, because
entity
this is,
what you're,
It calls it the directors, but.
yeah,
it-
that's
it's
what I'm
just not
saying.
really
It
what-
shouldn't
yeah.
be.
it should not be
Yeah.
library directors,
Yeah,
because what we have are trustees.
yeah.
So it should say,
Library board of trustees.
yeah, and I think we would really want to make sure we understood those special acts. But it's the trustees of the town of New Canaan shall not be elected by the town.
Yeah, that part I knew, but the entity is changed.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're the board of trustees. It's the
Yeah.
board of trustees.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
All right, that's anything else that you want to add to that, literally that one or two sentence, one paragraph that reflects anything in the statute, let us know. And then we can talk about it.
Is Nick on the phone now? He's not on this, right?
No.
We'll be on Tuesday.
Yeah. Yes.
Maybe ask us a few questions. Thank you, Ellen, for being here. So, yeah, this sentence has existed since the dawn of time,
Yeah.
right? So the formation of the charter back in the 1930s or 1940s in this particular case. One of the things I recall was it's certainly within the last 10 years, but the town council, as I recall, has some ability to, put a member on your board of trustees? How does that work? And
So that's a great question. That's,
I wasn't aware of that, actually.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's subject to the memorandum of understanding, which now, having read this more carefully, may in fact be in violation of the charter. So I don't know, but it's only pursuant to the loan facility, the grant and the loan facility document that was created.
That's
And
right,
that's subject to revision by the selectmen.
Which is not uncommon.
Yes, I guess it's not
Right,
uncommon.
and so as long as you have a loan
That's
outstanding.
right.
But the
They
manner in
elect-
which they're appointed is governed by the memorandum of understanding language, which is quite specific as to how they are proposed and how we have an opportunity to approve
Right.
those
And
appointments.
And is
That ability by the town council, which is under the MOU, would go away if the loan went away. Is that how that?
That was the understanding.
That was, I
Yeah.
think, the intent.
Yeah,
Okay.
I remember it
therefore,
in
it
nauseam
wouldn't
this
really apply to
discussion.
the
Yeah.
charter.
It wouldn't.
Catherine, can you turn your microphone on? I think you're probably fine with Ellen's, but you have one
Oh, I'm
with it just in
sorry,
case.
forgive me.
Because
Yeah.
we can't tell how.
Yeah.
how-
You're right.
Mine was off. too.
Okay, so since that, and they currently exist as part of your. Board
They
of
do, and they're
Trustees.
valued and important people who we adore, Doug Stewart and Mark Duele. We never want to see them leave.
Great,
Yeah.
that's fantastic.
Those are good people.
You bet.
And I believe since this was probably written a long time ago, were you at one time not a 501c3?
No, since the very beginnings, almost 150 years ago, we've been a nonprofit institution.
Always, okay.
Always.
Okay, so
An
I wonder
unaffiliated-
why they came up with this library directors then, instead of the board of, recognizing the board of trustees as
Don't
the.
remember
Well,
that. Because I think
501c3s
board of-
can have directors.
Board of
No, I know, but
Directors,
it refers to library directors of the town.
it's imprecise.
Yeah.
It's imprecise language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see. It doesn't make,
It doesn't make much
No.
sense. Maybe if we can find the appropriate language, and again, in consultation with Nick Bamonte, find out, because there's this different, there's a, you describe it better than I can. There's a corporation library, or there's two ways a town can serve.
You can have a municipal library that's under the purview and control of the town,
Yep,
or you can have an association library, which is what we
what
are.
we have.
And that is very common in New England, in the Northeast, and all of our peer libraries, I think, with the exception of Stanford, are the same.
So maybe we should describe that. The fact that it's an association library and what the town's responsibilities are under the association library.
I think it would be nice to indicate that the town would like to maintain a library service for its citizens. I think I
Number
would
one,
support
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
I think we've always been a well-functioning association library. I'm not sure that there's
it's not
a
codified.
specific, yes,
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a specific definition in
Is
the
it-
charter about the relationship.
Is there anything, and it might just be in it, I should know this by now, but the amount of
Funding level?
funding level.
There is no codified, there is tradition.
Right.
There is precedent. There is always a conversation about what is common practice amongst peers, but there is no requirement.
So it's just part of the budget discussion each
That's right.
year.
Mhm.
You hash that out each year.
What does association library mean to you as opposed to any other option? So I think what it means is that we operate with an independent board and we are non-municipal employees.
Oh, definitely.
And
Yeah.
we have a correlated fundraising requirement to supplement, because, you know, the town is very generous with their grant, but they've never covered, in my lifetime, 100% of our budget.
Mhm.
So
Of the salaries and benefits they do.
they do,
So,
but
how do you?
currently they
incorporate-
do, which I can't speak to every year in the past, but anything that relates beyond that, right? You know this,
Oh,
Judy.
Forever.
We're
yeah.
raising $1 million a year.
Yeah. But when you say non-municipal employees,
Right.
that would indicate that they get no town benefits, and they do. So how else do you say that without making them and still abide by your association library?
What do you mean to get town benefits?
Oh, no, we pay the.
There's health insurance
health
for our
insurance
full-time
and-
employees
yes,
that the
yes,
town,
always have,
Okay.
yeah.
And pension.
uh-huh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, for those who
Yeah,
still have a
it's-
pension, which we have one
What is
person
it up
left.
to now? It's considerable. I mean, it's a decent number.
It was for people
That we
hired before
pay.
2011.
Yeah, there's only one person left, I think, on the pension side.
On the
Everything.
pension, but the benefits have
Yeah.
continued.
I
Yeah, it
believe
used to
that's
be more
probably
on the
close to
pension.
between 300 and some odd and $400,000
Yeah, so
for
it's,
the
it's not
20
insignificant. So
for
I
the
don't wanna-
25 full-time employees.
How many?
25
Yeah, it's about
full-time,
right,
but
yeah.
we have a total of about 46 employees, FTEs, part-timers, et cetera.
You know, this is a good question we could actually ask Nick
Yeah,
and just say, what language
Yeah.
are other towns using surrounding their association libraries within their charters?
I'm
know-
seeing some of it now, so we can.
Yeah,
take a look.
I got, see, that's something I think we can use them for, which
oh,
is perfect, you
absolutely.
know?
I thought of that.
Without
before she
asking for their
came in,
advice, what
yeah.
other
At
languages?
some of the other charters, I didn't see much.
Oh, you didn't?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I just don't want to, I don't want to take away the fact that,
Is
you know, it's a
Richfield an ass-
working relationship.
Same
and
it's the
certainly
thing.
Richfields
contribution.
Association?
It's what?
Association.
Oh, yeah. But if we did not pay any benefits or make any contribution, would that not be an association library? What is that distinction?
Well, I mean, you're
I
more of
don't
a
know.
political expert than I am on this, but
Well, not really, not on that.
what I know is that we're not considered town employees. We are not.
No, I know that.
Right.
That was expected. In other words, that was the way it was designed.
That's
So even though
right.
they get town benefits, not town employees.
We have our health
We
insurance.
don't hire and fire.
I understand.
So that, yeah.
Yeah, you cover our health insurance. We pool with you. We take a share of the administrative costs that are related to that. So you're not bearing that
Mhm.
aspect of it, but what is the difference? I mean, we're just able to operate independently, I suppose. We're a separate decision-making body. And I think that's important for an institution like a library where the last thing you'd want is for there to be risk of politicization, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't, well, we don't want that. I just
Yeah.
want to make sure the language reflects what was intended and what we're talking about today.
Autonomy.
Autonomy, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
word.
Do you receive state aid?
Very little, very, very little, yeah.
So
So
you have to apply for it, or because you are an association library, you automatically get?
we
something?
we are a public library, so
Mm-hmm.
under, Connecticut law, we're eligible for any grants and thing. But for a host of reasons, not the least of which is the demographics here, but other things, we get a very small amount of state grant funding each year, which is why when some of that state funding was, the library, the MLIS money was withdrawn, we were not terribly impacted because we were cushioned by our own fundraising capabilities.
Okay, thank
But
you.
other towns did receive more. I
Some
mean,
towns may receive more.
significantly.
Yeah, they may.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It was, we're always been, less of everything. Yeah.
One last thing on the state requirements. It seems like that there's a minimum standard for public libraries in terms of, under Connecticut, is there a set of specific written and approved policies that you have to abide by?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there is we had to revise a number of our policies this year as part of some new legislative actions taken at the state level that enabled us to maintain our qualifications, so to speak, and so we've recently conducted a very extensive review of policies that already existed, and we maybe implemented one or two new ones, but collection policy, for example.
Right, reading that.
Yeah, personnel, we're reviewing financial policies out, and that's something that we do periodically anyway. It's very much part of our governance process.
I'll just share this with my fellow commissioners. There's a number of, in each category here, it cites the state statutes that they operate under. And I'm wondering just maybe to fill it out a little better in terms, not just the library board, but the library in general. It's an association library. It's under these.
Yeah, that's what I
State
was trying to,
statutes,
yeah, that's where we're going. I
Like
hope.
a
Yeah.
small little paragraph.
Yeah,
that I
besides
maybe
the one
fleshes it out.
sentence, yeah.
Unless you feel that in the next 10 years, there would be any reason for change.
Why don't we give that some thought? I mean, if there's
Yeah,
something
that's
that
what I thought
helps
of you, Yeah.
to create definition for us, I think sure, we could absolutely help provide some language around that.
Let me, we'll say that you're autonomous. Do you ever feel any pressure at all from any part of the town to act in a certain way or do certain things at the library? Any pressures put on you guys to do anything, or is it fully autonomous from a decision-making standpoint for you guys?
Everyone has a viewpoint and a set of suggestions, so I'd say I don't think we feel pressure.
Yeah, opinions are
We're-
good. You know?
Yeah, I
Opinions are
think
great.
the what?
Opinions are great. People have opinions.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure that there's no pressure, you know?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, are there, and certainly never from the government or
Yeah.
the town or officials, never.
Good.
I mean, are there people in the community who are free with their voices and opinions? Absolutely, but
Yeah.
we tend to try to operate with total transparency and equanimity in those
Great.
cases. And that's the sort of nature of librarian work,
Yeah.
librarianship, which, by the way, is shifting, right? So people's classic definitions of library maybe don't apply to what we are today and what libraries around the world today. But no, I don't think we feel any political pressure.
Yeah, good.
No budget pressure.
Oh,
I
always.
was gonna say, the way they pressure you is through the budget and. you know,
Well, I
just-
thought those went hand in hand, so that's, you know.
I knew where you were going. but you
Kind
didn't
way
say
of
that.
asking the
I
question.
know
It's
where you're
always,
going.
But thank you for being
there's
more
always a
transparent
bit, a
than.
bit control from the budget standpoint.
You know, I think, and that always stems from a misapprehension of function and maybe intent.
I think maybe misunderstood
Yes.
direction and intent. I would go further. I don't think, from discussions that ensue, I don't think people understand well. And when I don't, I ask, but I think people just sort of just jays out, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're an unusual entity, right? We're unique in the town in that we seek support and we are recipients of a grant and we're providing a service, but we are not the police and fire department. We're not the same. So that makes us unique, and we have a duty of care for that grant and for the community we serve, and we have a responsibility to be as service driven as we possibly can and creative in the ways that we work within the community. But you know, we sort of took it on the chin a little when we had our capital campaign with some of the you know, folks who were upset about the plans for the building. And then I think, you know, we had to listen, and we did, and we
Well, it was
pivoted.
design concepts. It was the old building, whether the building moves, or there were so many overlapping issues. It wasn't just the design of the building by any means.
Yeah, and
it
you know,
was-
and again, someone who comes from a banking background, for me, there was huge exigencies on the financial front there. That was paramount.
Yeah.
Right. That was a cost benefit analysis, you know. You might like to have this, but do you know, can you afford it? And in the end, we ended up having to spend money on things we're now in a bit of a endowment hole, and we're going to have to be fixing. So that did impact us.
Yeah, it's funny. It's almost like, I don't know, it's like a quasi-governmental type thing with autonomy. It's sort of a hybrid what you have here because of the monies you get. It's fascinating what you do.
Oh,
It's great. I
thanks.
love it.
Thanks.
But I do love autonomy. You know, I love that you guys, you know, do what you do.
Yeah.
Separate from government.
I do too. I do too.
think it's
That
important.
was hard to get to, though.
It is, and I
Yeah,
think
that
that
was hard to get to.
I think
You could operate if the town, for whatever reason, said, we're not giving you any grant this year. You would still exist. You'd have to cut your funding in some way. Or are there requirements that they pay your staff or the benefits or anything like that?
no, we're completely at the mercy of the town.
Did you say 85%?
70, it's about between 70 and 75% each year.
Yeah.
Depending on how well the fundraising is in terms of the percentages.
Yeah, I guess from my standpoint, when I look at a charter, right, and all of a sudden, if I heard they said to you, well, we're going to fund you if you only did this, this, and this, then I would say maybe the charter needs to be revised, right? So that's what I'm looking at is,
Yeah.
you know, how do we keep your work the way it is? You know, you know, and does the charter protect you from that?
Yeah, and I think,
I don't know if it's supposed to.
I don't know if
I
it's
don't know
supposed
either.
to. I have no idea
I
if
don't
that's
either.
the role of the
I mean,
charter.
I would not think so, but there has not been preconditions like that
Never.
to
And-
cover the
no.
salaries or the benefits or the, any opera. I mean, we've never, they've certainly cut money for specific things that you want because they thought it was either too high an ask or we didn't need it, but not when it came to the day-to-day operating.
Yeah, they don't
There's
have
never
line
been-
item veto in our
No,
budget. It's a
No,
block
we don't.
grant.
That's right.
Right, so that's an important thing to note. So we always maintain, even if you cut our grant in half, we would still have the final word on how monies are spent.
Mhm.
But I think, you know, where things get a little challenging sometimes in the public's mind is we are mandated to provide a public library service, which means free and open access for everyone. No one has to pay to have a library card. And for 99% of what we do, we are not charging people for what we do. Now, do we have a model wherein we have special programs and we have ways to, I mean, certainly we have fundraising events which sit in one area, but we do try to make an effort in certain circumstances to, you know, create an opportunity for flexibility in our program budget, i.e., you know, recoup some money, whether it's the mini golf fundraiser, which is, you know, $10 a person, or ticketed event, if we're being required to sell a book in conjunction with an author visiting. So, we make some accommodations because we're conscious of, and I think in this year's budget, it's well reflected that we've kept our programming requests pretty flat.
I think for further edification, I would recommend looking at chapter 190, public libraries under the Connecticut state statutes. And there's a fairly comprehensive description about the roles of not over the state level and the responsibilities to the public library, but also the town. So have a look at that.
Great.
Okay. Is there anything else,
Yeah.
whether library related or as a citizen?
As a citizen, I would be remiss if I didn't say that I felt that I'm in favor of term limits for the town council.
For the for
For
all
everyone
elected
or
or
just town council?
For, I think specifically the town council, and I am not in favor of an elected board of finance. I think that you run into some major issues of attracting talent in a
hard.
very crucial.
How
Commission.
about planning and zoning?
Planning and zoning, I think you also run into that same challenge with attracting the right talent. People do have restriction.
Yeah.
Elections are very cumbersome and
Mhm.
very expensive and,
Do you have
They
term
are.
limits? Does the library board have term limits?
we do, we have 2 3-year terms. You have to come off for a year, but then you can come back on after that period.
Yeah, which is pretty common.
Mhm.
Because most people don't come back.
What would
But
you
but there's
recommend?
definitely, my experience with our board is, you do get to a certain point where you've developed a thoroughbred and then they have to depart and it's hard.
Yeah.
We have sort of a farm team
Always,
system where we
always,
can
yeah.
create committees and I can keep people in my circle who are so valuable. And that's important because that institutional knowledge is crucial. But on something like a planning and zoning or board of finance where the knowledge is so specialized, it would probably be more disruptive than need be.
Yeah.
What's your guidance for term limits on the ones that you see? Or was it just town council or was all of them, and what would be the length of
I'm
time?
thinking, I think of, I was only focused on town council and I think like 2 terms, 2
terms?
3-year terms, but how long?
It's
is it?
4, so
Yeah,
it'd be
2
a year,
terms would
2 or
probably
3,
be
yeah.
sufficient. It's also a generational shift, which I think,
Yeah.
having raised children here for 3 decades, and seeing how things have shifted since the early days of John Hetherington and of course your reign, Judy.
Oh, yeah. Well,
John
John
things-
and I were very close together, yeah.
Yeah, so,
That was.
there's a value in that sort of closer ear to the ground, perhaps.
More so than, it's grown,
Yeah,
ridiculously.
I think,
So
I
it's
think
was
the world is
easier.
shifting rapidly.
Yeah, it's shifting. That's really what I should say. It's shifting
Yeah,
so much.
and I think keeping up with that pace is something
Mhm.
that's harder to do if you've been there for 30 years.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It is.
Oh, I think so, yeah. I think that you have to sort of know.
That's Ellen the citizen speaking.
Yes,
Yeah.
noted,
Yes.
recorded.
All
Yes.
right.
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
so
for
much.
coming.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
service. Thank
it.
you for doing this work.
Yeah.
Coming in and your time. Sorry, we got a little late start there.
It's okay.
And the library is amazing. So,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm very proud of our work.
you should be.
How long have you been there?
It'll be 12 years in May.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
Any plans for the small building?
Yeah, as long as we're not recorded, I'm happy to tell you.
I think we are recorded, so let's not talk about it.
Well, then you'll have to wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a priority for me.
Good.
And
It's a great little building.
it's an excellent and
Yeah.
expensive swimming pool sized space.
Yeah.
It's really, but you know what? The truth is that it looks beautiful where it is. I'm really
Mm.
proud of the new position. I think it is in great conversation with
Mm.
the old and the new can really have a dialogue now. I love its position on the green.
Yeah.
And we've now been in the place for 3 years and we actually understand what our needs are.
Isn't that great?
So it's wonderful we didn't have to come up with something on day one because it would have looked very different than what we would have done now. And so I think it's a great opportunity for us to expand what we do.
Mhm.
And so
All
stay
right,
tuned.
so I guess the yoga studio is out of the question.
No, I
I'm
mean,
just
you
joking.
certainly have a yoga
That's what we
class
have.
in there.
nail salons and yoga studios in this town. We
I
have
think
lots of-
we do yoga sometimes at
We
the
sure do.
library.
We do it on Monday mornings.
Oh, do you? Oh, yeah. I walk by it all the time. I think it looks great.
Have you been inside?
I've not been inside the little building, no.
Oh, no, I can take you in if you.
Yeah, I'd love to.
The little, what do you mean, the old building?
The old building, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. I've been inside the library
Pause
lots.
the recording, just we're waiting for Judy.
Chief? Let's come on up. You're.
Stay warm out there. It
Time
is,
is of the
it's
essence.
cold.
Thank you, Chief, for coming. I wasn't sure if you were bringing any commissioners, but it's fine, whatever.
I didn't, but we can,
Yeah, I've got, yeah,
we had a
I've
change
got-
there with Paul coming off, so I think.
I know, and
would've
Paul
been
wasn't,
valuable.
didn't feel comfortable,
Yeah,
but Jim McLaughlin's coming in at 5:30.
He just
Yes, okay,
called
good.
me. He just called me, Jim McLaughlin.
Oh, is there an issue? Can he not come? or-
I didn't realize
Let me see if
why
he
he was
called
calling
me.
me. I'll go listen and I'll tell you.
All right, I'll see if it's on mine. I
Thank you,
didn't
Kathleen.
even look.
He's our last one, right?
Yeah.
That's right,
Yeah,
at
that was-
5:30?
Yeah. Well, that would be, all right, so, yeah, 4:30. I left an hour for Gene because he wanted to talk about other issues, but yeah.
So just because we're running a little
Yeah,
behind.
we are, and we always
I know
do,
you've got
and that's
things
why I
to do.
give an extra.
I was going to start with something that we've been hearing from a couple of our other interviews. I'm just going to jump right in unless, actually, you know what? I'm going to wait and say, do you have anything that you want to bring up first? Some
Not
people bring
really.
up prepared statements, some people
no,
don't.
I don't,
so I'm
I
gonna
don't
give you
have
the
any prepared
opportunity.
statements.
get it.
So nothing
All right.
pressing, nothing, you know,
Great.
that I need to discuss right now, so.
Okay,
Let's
well,
see how
just,
the
if
conversation
you
goes.
have anything that
Okay.
comes up. So we've been hearing about that the police commission has no connection back to the Board of Selectmen or the first selectman's office. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that model. It's not like that in every town. So for example, in Westport, they don't have a police commission. You know, I think the statute is if you have one, it has to have these certain attributes, but you could also not have one. Some are elected, you know, some the traffic authority sits within the police commission and some it doesn't. So I just wanted to get your thoughts just on how it works here and how you think that how it's going, if you'd make any changes or anything to that.
I think the commission works well here. You know, I've been here for 33 years, so in my experience, it's worked well. And I think it's nice to have a separation of powers, that the police commission works independently within the town government. And I report directly to the police commission.
I didn't have. Excuse me, is it?
Forgive me, that was Commissioner McLaughlin. He said you told him 5 o'clock. So
That's okay.
That's fine.
I said, could you come now? And he said,
Yeah, yeah, it was, I said he could overlap with Gene because it's the same.
Okay.
Maybe he missed that. Okay,
Not
that's
a
why I
problem.
allowed the extra
No
hour.
problem, no
Yeah,
problem.
go ahead.
Sorry. Sorry.
So I think it does work well that the police commission, it is appointed by the Board of Selectmen, so they do have some response back to the elected officials, but I report directly to the police commission, not to the first selectman, and I think that's a good separation of powers, and I think it works well in this town.
Does it say you report to the police commission?
Yes.
But is that determined by the statute as opposed to the charter?
Charter.
It is strictly the charter, is it? I wasn't sure about that. Is it?
Well,
Okay,
well,
I,
I
It could
think,
be statute, but I know that some towns then have the commission get it ratified by the Board of Selectmen, or there's a
well,
second.
maybe that's the, maybe
That
that's.
we don't have here.
Okay. All
That's a
right.
yeah,
good
so the
question.
statute is that if you have a commission, there are certain exclusive powers that they have.
Yeah,
I'm just looking here to say if it says specifically that you appoint the police chief, but
Are you looking at
It-
state or the local?
this is the, yeah, I don't have the actual full statute. There's all these exclusive
I have it a few.
powers you get. Okay. Okay. But I don't know if it says specifically it has to, who you have to report to. but
so
I'm
I'm
assuming the
I
commission.
want to just follow up on your question because it's a
Yeah.
good question. So you know, obviously you've been here for a long time, you know, you've endeared yourself to the town. They put you in charge because of your body of work. And I guess my question is, if you're not here, the next group, you still feel comfortable with the commission getting the next person, right? You know, obviously we think they got it right this time, you know, you're here. But what I always look for is what does it look like going forward? It is a system where the commission is the final arbiter or sayer. You like that?
Yes, so
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
the commission hires, fires,
Yep.
promotes, and internally, how I operate and how I expect my people to operate is train your replacements. So that's what I've been doing, is training the people to take my seat when I retire, when I leave, and all the way down. So my deputy chief is prepared to step in if I'm not here for some reason, and when I retire.
So
So
that's a great question. So, you know, you have this line of succession, right? That is the commission bound by that? Like, could you be
No,
training
no.
somebody and then they could just say, well?
Yeah, they have complete authority to
Hmm.
conduct the hiring process as they will. They appoint the chief of police, and they determine how they do that. So they could, in theory, decide to do a national search
Yeah.
and interview candidates, and how they appoint the next chief of police is up to them.
Hmm.
It doesn't spell out exactly how they have to
But do
do
you
it or
speak-
who it has
yeah.
to be.
Do you speak to them now about what succession looks like? Do they ask you ever, like, the commission say, like, what does succession look like to you? So they have a succession plan?
We don't discuss it in those terms,
Yeah.
so to speak, but every police commission meeting that I attend, my deputy chief and my captain attend, and they participate. They participate in the budget preparation process, and they come with me and present with me. So
You're training them, yeah.
their body of
Yeah.
work, they're known to the key decision makers in town,
Mhm.
and they can see how they operate with me, and hopefully they can make the right decision when the time comes.
Do you think there's enough members on the police commission, or would you increase the amount of members on the commission? Or decrease it for that matter?
I don't think you can. I think it has to have a
Yeah.
minimum of three.
Yeah, that's
It's gotta
right.
be
Do you think
three,
that's
five.
enough?
I think it's gotta be by statute, 3, 5, or 7.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there an optimal number for you that you would have?
Yeah, I think that works. You know, that would be more of a question for the commissioners themselves if they felt that works, but.
We have
you
three
know,
now, right?
Yeah.
Three, we have
Do you
three.
think five's better, or you don't have an opinion, or?
I don't necessarily have an opinion, you know, I could work with whatever. I think, you know, working with 3 commissioners works for me, and I don't see any reason to change it.
Yeah.
So the commission has certain, what are we calling it, independence in terms of who they hire, who is hired for the police department, and who is, I guess, fired from the police department. Are there any things that you do worked with the Board of Selectmen on, whether formally or informally, and that does go back?
We work with the Board of Selectmen with all of the budgeting process and budgeting expenses. So I routinely go to Board of Selectmen meetings for budgetary reasons. I have a good working relationship with the first selectman. I keep her informed of things that come up. And I think that's an expectation that she has, that I feel comfortable with, that, you know, if there's big town events or even things that are going to become newsworthy, I would certainly notify her and inform her and keep her aware of things so she's not blindsided. So I think we have a good working relationship. And I think that's important to have.
There, and the reason I ask is there's one line in here says makes rules and regulations after consultation with the selectmen for the proper government of the police force, copies of which shall be delivered to each officer and member of the force. Which maybe it's not, but it seems to be in conflict with the idea of it being completely independent.
Again, I don't think it's completely independent. I think any rules or regulations or any actions that the commission takes, I think they do
review
have to
that.
do it in consultation with the Board of Selectmen. So I don't
Okay,
think
that was
they work
my question.
completely independently. They do.
And the Board of Finance too, probably, right?
No,
Or
no, it's not an appropriation, no.
So they don't have to do that.
No, but that's not, I mean, that's not an ongoing stated objective. We don't do that on a regular basis.
What's that?
That,
To what?
that the police commission makes recommendations to the board of selectmen.
It doesn't happen frequently because
No,
we
it's
have
very-
we have
yeah, I
our
don't
rules
know
and
if that's
regulations that
really,
are established through
worth-
our general orders and our policies that we present to the police commission. We're advising them of and,
Yeah.
you know, the day-to-day operation things. So it doesn't change a lot.
No,
So
no, it's
as it
not
shouldn't,
really
it-
enforced. Yeah, yeah.
It's
just there, yeah.
Is there anything in the charter that you think should be modified or changed that would make the charter better for the town? That you've seen? The answer may be no, but you know, we're always looking to make it better, right? So
It doesn't have to be broken. I mean, you know, it can
Yeah.
still be better. Yeah.
yeah, you know, I've searched through the charter and found all the areas that the police are mentioned. There's a couple of minor language things that could be updated. One of the areas, I think it's, we provide bank escorts and charge $10, which
it's a lot of money.
We don't-
That's not in the charter. You're talking about an ordinance.
okay,
Yeah.
I just went through the whole,
Yeah, that's an ordinance.
Is that, I've never seen that, yeah.
yeah, and we don't do that
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah,
If
obviously,
any
yeah.
businesses need escorts, we provide escorts and provide security. We don't charge $10, but.
There's a lot of things the ordinances need to
I
be
was just gonna say,
updated
the
and
ordinances
changed,
are
yeah.
so out of date. I mean,
Yeah.
that's really the one that should be on the schedule.
Yeah, so
That'll be our
what we're doing
recommendation.
here
Absolutely.
is we're trying to make the charter up to date
Mhm.
to be good for the next 10 years and to make the town of New Canaan better, right? So even after you leave today, if you see anything
Yeah.
that's in the charter that you say, hey, you know something, this may be a good idea to amend, to change, we're missing something, this shouldn't be, just let us know, because our job is to collaborate with the town to make our charter the best charter.
So this
Okay.
isn't dealing anything with ordinances. This is just the.
We're
charter.
just dealing with the charter, unfortunately,
I think
yeah.
I looked at
That will-
everything.
You did.
Yeah.
That's
There's
fine.
enough things that have popped up that
Yeah.
need to go to town council for the ordinance review,
Okay.
clearly, yeah.
No, as far as the charter, no, you know,
I just like to let everybody know we're here to be collaborative
Yeah.
and make things better. You know, that's our goal.
And so one thing we've heard, and I'm just going to ask you, I have no idea if this is a good idea or not. We haven't discussed it, but the idea of making the first selectman a chair of the commission, or member of the commission or something. Do you see any upside, downside to that? You could
like I
start
said,
off with.
I like the separation of powers. I think that's a good model. I think our federal government's framed that way and,
Mhm,
you
I
know,
do too.
the head elected official probably shouldn't have key oversight of the police department or control of the police department. I think it's good to have some separation in that regard, but the way the charter is written, the commissioners can't hold any other office, but I guess you could change that. And I guess that's what you're asking. So in my opinion, I prefer this model. And like I said, it's worked for over 3 decades for me. So I think
Yeah,
There's-
it's worth. How about the union negotiations? Is there anything you would change in terms of inclusion or exclusion of the participants in the union negotiations? Or do you consider that just your privy?
in what
I got
way would
very
the
involved. in it. I
charter-
seem to be the only one that did, and I'm just wondering if that was a good thing or not. It was, yeah, I mean, it blew up and I had to be, so it hadn't gone well before me, and I thought, it's time. So, and that was very collaborative. Do you feel it is now? Do you feel that the first selectman's office, if you would, should be more involved?
I think, in my experience, the first selectman's office always has been involved through human resources.
That's right.
In conjunction with the police chief and the police commission. So I think
You think
it
it's working?
works
okay?
collaboratively
Yeah.
now, and
All right.
I don't see any reason to change that.
All right.
Yes.
May I just ask a
course,
couple
Sure,
questions?
you're here.
So thank you, Chief. A couple questions. Are you aware of any other towns that have a first selectman more involved or serving as ex officio on
They
the
could be, I
commission?
don't know.
Not
I
that you're
didn't
familiar with?
survey
Yeah.
the other towns. I believe some other towns
Do you
do.
have that?
Other
Yeah.
towns have common councils and in different
Yeah.
governmental frameworks. So I don't know of any
Okay.
that do or don't.
Okay.
I didn't really do much of a
No,
survey.
that's okay. Just curious. And then I thank you for sharing the state statutes here. So it's 3, 5, or 7 electors may serve
That's what the statute.
on the commission. And, you know,
And
whether
they're appointed from the Board of Selectmen
they could be under state statutes, they
Right.
could
Some
be
could be
appointed or
elected.
elected.
or elected, yeah,
And the board of
Or
selectmen.
this town council could do it as well.
or
right.
town council.
Yeah, but it's really the selectmen in this town.
In
that
this
appoints-
town, yeah, yeah.
Under
Mhm.
our own charter. So going from 3, to 5, maybe opens up the participation by more of the electors, you know, kind of a mix or what have you. One of the things I think we, as a commission, will take a look at whether other towns, does the first selectman play any role,
Mhm.
you know, and where don't they? What are the pros and cons of that? So just so you know that we'll take a look at that. And if you happen to come across, you know, the pros and cons, please feel free. You shared what your perspectives are. So thank you for that. There are no term limits on the commission right now. I mean, you can stay, you know, there's
3-year terms, but
3-year terms,
yeah.
but you can continue to be appointed and so forth. Do you have we'll ask Commissioner McLaughlin when he comes in, but do you have any feeling about
I
term limits or?
don't really have
Okay.
an opinion on that.
Okay,
Roger Phillips served 10 years.
10.
And that was the longest of anyone I know. And he came off as I came in, but I served directly with him on a committee and I got to know all this really loud and clear as I got to know him. And I thought he had knowledge that no one else I've come across since had. And that was probably him. I mean, he was a unique person, but I thought that was a good time frame. But I don't know if
Yeah.
you think that's either
No, I
too
think
long or,
there is something to be said,
yeah.
much like Ellen said, in that institutional knowledge
Yeah.
of how things operated. And there is a learning curve to
Sure.
understand the nuances of the unions and things like that. And
Yeah, he was.
so it
tremendous
does take time to
resource, yeah.
have an understanding of
Mhm.
the department itself. So I think that there's benefit to having someone that serves an extended period of time.
So one last question, I'll yield. So there's only 5 elements of the charter that relate to the police commission. The last one is traffic regulations. And there's always some debate about that, you know, who puts the stop sign, who's responsible for traffic and so forth. To what extent do you, and I know I've actually watched your meetings sometimes when there's a traffic issue. To what extent do you work with the parking commission, any other planning and zoning, any other areas where traffic flow, board of selectmen, et cetera? How do each of those commissions work together with you on this section of traffic regulation? And does it belong here? Is that a common theme?
It's very common,
Okay.
yeah. So to be the local traffic authority is what the state recognizes
Okay.
as the town body that determines what traffic regulations and how they're established and, stop signs, speed limit signs, those sorts of things. We work very closely with Public Works. I work very closely with Tiger Man on all things traffic because
Mhm.
he does the installation. He has a big role in those sorts of things. And we conduct traffic studies together. So
Mhm.
we work very, very closely with Public Works. If it's anything to do with parking, we work closely with the Parking Authority.
How'd you guys do with the snow the last few days?
No.
Well, we did fine. Again, that's
Public,
a question for Tiger, but those are things we're talking about, how do we handle, cars parked that
Sure.
get snowed in and that
Yeah.
sort of thing, and how do we help Tiger out and make his job and his crews easier to clear the roads and those sorts of things.
So will Tiger work directly with you or will Tiger work with the commission who works with you?
Well, we work with Tiger and then we'll present a recommendation to.
Hi, dear.
Hi, Jim. We would present recommendations to the commission with Tiger for any kind of traffic regulation changes.
Great.
With understanding that there's got to be lots of studies involved and that sort of thing.
I think that's all I have.
It was raised as a possibility, react to this in terms of things like stop signs and road signs and that people get either annoyed about or get really demanding of. Would it be helpful and should it be considered by the parking, and planning and zoning first. The parking issues and the stop sign issues. And
Well, I think if they were a parking issue, we would consult with the parking authority, which we have done. But.
the commission or the commission or
No, with the parking authority, Stacy.
yeah, okay.
If it had anything to do with them, and then if it needed to be brought to their commission, we could certainly work with them. But they generally handle off-street parking, the parking authority. Any on-street parking is the police commission, and we review that again with Public Works. If it does fall into the umbrella of planning and zoning, we would consult with them if it's something that we needed to.
Does it usually go through?
Not
Because
usually,
it's
but
been
some things
mentioned
like.
in one of our meetings, and I didn't know if that was ordinary or exception, or
No, I don't think
it's not
that,
ordinary.
not ordinary.
Not
no.
in my
No,
recollection, but I
the
thought.
local traffic authority is
Yeah.
the police commission in this town, and we work, like I said, closely with the other agencies if we need to, if it touches them in some way.
Okay, well,
Well,
So
thank-
so the recent change on Elm Street in terms of parking, in terms of charging versus being free, does the police commission get involved in that at all?
No, that was not.
That was first selectment.
only.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Is that something that-
no
And the
public
parking
hearing,
commission.
no,
Given what you just said about parking and traffic regulations, et cetera, is that something that the police commission should have been involved
Could have
in?
been weighed in.
Don't know, again, the charging for paid parking and the lots, again, those,
It's not a traffic.
it was not a traffic issue, so
But
it kind of
it
fled over.
alleviates traffic perhaps, so that's,
It could,
is that the
yeah.
goal? I mean,
intent.
right.
Yeah, it's something that we, things like loading zones and those sorts of things were brought up to our attention, and we tried to assist with that and discussed again with Stacy and her group, how best to come to a working resolution.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And if you think of
Thank you.
anything going
Yeah,
forward over
oh,
the next
God,
30
yeah,
days
that's
that
why we're trying to keep
can
them
make the
together.
charter better, in your opinion,
Definitely.
please share it with us.
I will.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
You want to stay
or
with
do you
Jim,
want
right?
me to-
Yeah.
Actually,
I apologize if I'm
Gene is-
early or late.
Gene, can
You
you?
told me to come at 5 and you told me.
This is
3,
Jim,
so
Jim
Jim,
McGraw.
I'm in the middle.
Can you hit the
Jean,
green
Jean
button?
was actually first, so I don't know if you wanted to, it's okay. It
I can
doesn't
wait.
matter to me. I'm just, you can,
I think maybe.
you
stay
asked
with
for
the
extra time.
commission.
I gave
Yeah.
extra time because I didn't know whatever we were going to talk about, but it's fine.
I'm
You
flexible.
go first. It's fine.
I guess the only.
Would you like me to stay?
Well, maybe that's why I put you all on the same calendar. I tried to
Okay.
get all
Yeah,
the
okay.
groups right together, which was
Okay.
an.
Just to say your name for the record, so we have it on. and-
James McLaughlin, I'm
Please.
chairman of the New Canaan Police Commission.
Mhm.
Thank you. So I guess I'm Todd Lampert. I'm on the Charter Revision Commission. I guess my first question is, do you think 3 is the right number of commissioners, or should we be better off with 5 or 7?
I think 3 works just fine. I've been there for about 10 years and I think it works perfectly well.
Never have
Adding
a
more
prob-
would just
Yeah.
make it a bit more cumbersome, I think.
It
I don't know if
can.
The chief has a different view, but that's my
No,
view.
look,
No. I think
again,
you're-
I'm gonna
yeah.
tell you what I tell everybody. We're just here to try to make this the
Listen.
best
Yeah,
charter
yeah.
we can have.
Yeah.
We have no preconceived notions. We're
It's
just-
very rare that someone misses a meeting.
Yeah.
Occasionally, but rare. And then we have a quorum of 2. And that's only happened
Yeah.
2 or 3 times in the 10 years I've been there.
Sure.
And so you've been there for, I'm sorry. You've been there for 10 years. Is that common? I mean, people tend to be on for quite a while.
I think so. Paul Foley was there for at least 10.
But not as chairman. Roger Phillips was there as chairman for 10.
Oh, I see. I haven't been chairman all 10.
No, I know you haven't. He was, and I was just thinking that the 10 years seems to sort of be the.
I'm sorry about that.
I like the ring though.
Yeah. I think Stuart Sarabini was on for 10 plus.
Not as chairman.
No, probably
Yeah,
not.
Yeah. No, he's on, well, he did everything. I mean, I brought him, or Jim Cole brought him in. I put
Yeah.
him to work immediately and everything. I
Yeah.
mean, he was like a full-time unpaid
Gotta
staff.
focus on the charter.
Huh? I know, but I mean, but
Yeah.
the point is you can train on that stuff overlap. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you the same question we asked the chief is, we've heard from some other people that we talked to about the commissioner, the police commission and its independence, and potentially having a more of a link with the Board of Selectmen or with the town and some activities. I think the stop signs came up as just a small example. Do you see any issues with that?
What
or
came
the
up
way
as
that-
an example?
Just putting in a new stop sign that you guys have complete authority over that. It doesn't go
Yeah.
for, not saying they wanted authority over that particular thing. They were just using it as an example
Right.
of something that you guys do that doesn't require approval or,
Right.
consultation. So I'm trying to, I guess the long-winded question, but you have some consultation, I think, as a standard with the Board of Selectmen and maybe even with town council, but not always required. Do you feel like there's a right amount of oversight in terms of the town oversight of the commission and the right amount of independence?
Well, the commission is somewhat independent,
Mhm.
right? Under state statute.
Right.
And I know that Kevin Moynihan, our former first selectman, complained to me from time to time that he would have liked to have had more more control or say. I'm not sure specifically what, but I think it works well as it is. We don't have a lot of interaction as a commission with the first selectman or the town council, but we're, this guy's calling me all the time, they can call us anytime and they can certainly come to a meeting and discuss whatever has to come up. So I haven't seen any need for that, and I don't think I would. My feeling is that the commission works quite well as it is. And so I really wouldn't propose changing anything unless.
The one thing I might add too is as far as putting up stop signs or things of that nature, we're of the mindset to move slower rather than fast. We understand that if things are impacting the community, we want to review them openly. All of our meetings are open, all of our agendas are open, obviously. So if it is something that is significant and going to affect the town, we do it very slowly and methodically for that reason. So it can get as much attention, and we welcome feedback. We have residents come to share their concerns. We weigh those concerns. So things that we do happen very, very slowly for a reason. So it's open to the public, and there is a lot of public interaction to include board members or town council members to weigh in, which they have on a number of issues that we've dealt with over the last few years.
If one of your members, one of the three of you wanted to resign, let's say somebody that's working under you right now, the next person would be given to you from the Board of Selectmen. Do you have to approve that as the chair, or how does that next person
If
get
a
it?
member of the police commission were to resign?
Yeah.
I believe what would happen is the first selectman would have to appoint a replacement. That's my
Board of
understanding.
Yes,
Board of
that's
Selectmen.
correct.
Or the
And
Board of
you-
Selectmen,
and you have no say over that.
No.
Okay.
But you can refer qualified people for sure.
We can make recommendations, but we, in the past, the selectman, whoever it is, has more or less acted independently to pick who they want,
So that's the check and balance there is to, I get it, to some extent.
to some extent. yeah.
If you added one or two people and you went along with what we're hearing today on the charter in other towns, would it be a member of the town council? Would that be helpful, or would that be an interference?
As I say, I think the three work perfectly well. I don't think
I
we
think
need.
that's what we're
That would
hearing
be
in
against the
general.
charter. You can't
Yeah.
serve you can't be on the town council and serve on the police commission.
Well, you'd have to change that in the
But-
charter, but
But it is in other towns.
No.
That,
No.
no, some
Well, I
other
thought-
towns,
I thought
on
there-
some other towns, the
somebody-
first selectman is the
First
police
selectman.
commissioner.
Yeah.
no,
you
I
don't
know
have to have
that.
a
No,
police
I know
commissioner.
that, but I also thought that they had one of, or the other on the police commission.
Well,
I
one of
thought I
the people
heard
that we
that,
spoke
no?
to suggested as an option to have the first selectman as the chairman, which I don't think
No, I
would
wouldn't.
necessarily be legal, but
No, I wouldn't.
There
Okay,
there are, correct me if I'm wrong, there are other police commissions and we can identify where
I think
the-
maybe in Greenwich, is Fred Camillo chairman of the police commission
Yeah,
there?
yeah,
Yeah.
So I think in other towns
Maybe
do it differently,
that's-
but
all right,
we've
maybe
never
that's
done it
what's
that way.
Contributing to that number of adding one or the other. Okay.
yeah.
All right. No, I like the separation of powers. I'm not suggesting that. I just wondered if it'd be helpful. Okay.
Have you had a chance to review the charter as it sits right now at all? Have you spent any time with it or not? Not yet?
I can't say I read every page, but I did read, I did read, it's a short section on the police and I read some others.
Anything you would recommend as a citizen or as the chairman of your committee that would be helpful to be added or deleted from the charter that you think would be beneficial?
Well, one thing that I've heard talked about quite a bit is the idea of changing the charter so that the town clerk is appointed by the selectmen rather than elected. And my personal view as a citizen now is that that would not be a good idea. Because I think, having worked with Claudia on various things over the years, I think she's very capable. There's a great deal of knowledge that she has to have of state law. And my understanding is that most of what she does relates to state law. And she interacts and I think technically maybe reports to the Secretary of State, but then interacts with the Treasury Department and the Agriculture Department and all kinds of things. So, and I know there have been, just from anecdotal discussions, there have occasionally been disagreements between the first selectman, whether it be Kevin or Deanna, with something that Claudia has said needs to be done. And it gives her a certain independence, I think, to be elected, where she can say, no, state law requires this. Without, if you're appointed, you have a little less independence, I think. So,
Do you have any interactions?
she also, by the way, validates elections. So would it be a perceived conflict of interest? Let's say we had a very, very close election. And the first selectman and the selectman has appointed her, would it create a perception of a conflict? I don't know, but.
In your role as police commissioner, though, you don't have any interactions with Claudia, right? As on a professional basis?
No,
Yeah,
I don't think
so.
I have.
Yeah,
No.
no, I didn't think so.
I've had other
Yeah.
interactions with her and animal controls things and all sorts of stuff.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody has.
Everybody has, I think. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my personal impression as a citizen is that she's been very knowledgeable. She's very knowledgeable and very effective. And I like the idea of a bit of a check and balance, that she's got some independence to be able to say no when it's required.
Great. Yes.
Jimmy brought up an interesting thing. I don't see this in the charter, but animal control, how does that report up to your?
Oh, I don't think it reports to her, but
Oh,
she.
to your commission, I meant, to the police commission.
Well, it's within the budget, right? It's within our budget.
Animal
and-
control works within the police department, so they report.
Right,
They go
They
to
go to the
you
commission.
and you to the commission.
right,
Okay.
right.
Rarely do they have any.
Yeah, we don't really have,
to go
we
before
haven't
the
had any
commission.
issues with animal
Okay.
control, really.
We moved that. Do you think that works better, reporting it? I mean, I don't know if it needs to report to police commission,
What?
animal control.
As compared to whom? Who else would you?
It was reporting to me. It was one of those things I didn't think needed to report to me, one
No,
more
that,
thing.
the animal
Um,
control doesn't.
yeah.
I sort of like it.
I think
Police
it's
commissioner,
okay
yeah.
where it is.
It
I'm
falls
just
under the umbrella
asking
of the
you
police
if you
department.
think that's
I think so.
sufficient.
Yeah, I
It's
think it's fine.
okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Makes sense.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
Yeah, I did too. Okay, just meant, all right, good.
And how do you feel about term limits,
For,
police commission?
oh. I wouldn't be opposed. I mean, I think it's helpful to have some institutional knowledge. So I wouldn't want it to be too short.
Right.
Because, you know, the police department's a complex
Mhm.
Sure.
organization. And when I first came on, I knew really very little or nothing. And Stuart, you know, was a great guy. He sat down with me and we spent time, and I did that with Arvin recently. But you need to learn. So I wouldn't mind term limits, but they ought to be long enough to make sure that people have experience.
So you've been there 10 years and the other two people on the commission have been there how long each?
Paul just left.
Shikaba was appointed by Kevin maybe, I don't know,
Not too
6
long.
years ago,
6,
maybe.
yeah.
8 years ago,
Six.
something.
Some
like that.
6, and Arvin was just appointed December.
And
With
Paul
Paul
just
Yeah,
Foley
left,
stepped
so, you know, one of my concerns just is, you know, if you decided didn't want to do it anymore and then something happens to Paul, we're left with one person with no experience. That's why I'm wondering if 3 is enough. And I don't know the answer, but I do have a concern with that and we don't have staggered terms. Like if I knew it was one person, so that.
They're staggered.
Yeah, they are
They are
staggered.
staggered, yeah.
But you said you have 1 at 10 and 1 at 8 and 1 at 1.
It's just as when they joined.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
understand it's staggered, but
Yeah.
Mhm, I know what you mean, yeah. Mhm.
you can get misaligned.
You
Maybe,
can,
maybe.
especially if they leave, but I mean, maybe one of you said, I don't see any advantage changing from 3. Do you see any pros to going to 5?
Not really, candidly. I mean, I think, you know, the amazing thing about this town, one of the amazing thing is the amount of volunteer work that
Yeah.
people like you do
Everybody
and
does, yeah.
people do.
A lot of people.
And, you know, I might have resigned, but Paul was there longer. He resigned. So I said, I'll stay so that we have that continuity.
Mhm.
People, I just think people,
They step up when they have to.
I
Yeah.
do. I
In this
think,
town, they really do. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
I
disagree.
think it'd be unusual for someone to resign and leave the commission in the lurch, you know? That, I don't just,
I could see
I can
that.
foresee that happening.
I don't have any other
Yeah,
questions.
no, I'm, anything.
I did just have one more. And this is because I think people will ask us when we have the broader discussions is, there's this state statute that if you do, some places don't have police commissioners, so you don't have to have one. But if you do have one, there's these certain exclusive powers that they have to have, which is related to governance of the police department itself. Can you articulate for a layperson why that statute might exist? Why those exclusive powers would be given to the police commission by this?
Why the
bias
powers are given to the police commission?
Exclusive powers, autonomous, so that you
Like
don't
it-
have to answer to the first select.
Oh, I
What
see.
Specifically.
I don't know
or-
why that statute was passed.
But does it say?
I don't even know
try
when
to
it was
remember what
passed.
says. Did it say
Um,
specifically?
Yeah, it does.
No, it does? Okay, all right.
It's an interesting statute. It's the only one of its kind.
Yeah, I think that's
Section
peculiar. I agree.
7-276 is exactly what you just
Yeah.
said. Such board has the sole power of appointment, promotion, removal of the
Right.
officers and members of such police department.
Right,
State statute.
yeah.
Well, I think we've all seen those videos of
Oh, yeah.
elected official, do you know who I am? I'll have your job on Monday morning. And I think the establishment of the statute is to prevent that.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a good point. Yeah.
I think that's what it means, but I
Yeah.
wasn't clear of how specific it's supposed to be.
Sort of
To me,
takes
that's
politics
what
out of it a little
means.
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
And if you think of anything
Thank you.
that will make this charter better
Oh, God.
over the next
yes,
3
let
days,
us know.
please let us know.
Okay,
Try to make it the best documents possible.
thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Coming at a short notice.
Well, I'm more on time than I thought.
So
We'll
we have
see.
Gene and then,
Gene is, well, yeah, it
is
was,
he, and then we have one more?
no, Gene is.
the- Hello there.
Yeah, that's enough, don't you think?
Yes, yes.
My God. I thought, well, it's just the way it worked out.
By the way, I hope you don't, my face is, I'm under treatment for some melanoma stuff.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
It's
that.
a neat thing, but you put it on and it finds the damaged skin.
Yeah.
And it actually repairs it to some extent.
Modern medicine, right?
It's a gel or a cream or a,
It's a cream.
No
Factors-
kidding.
Gene, can you put on your speaker there? I'm sorry. Thank you. I
Yeah.
Green
appreciate
light's
it.
on.
Yeah, well,
So
Good for
anyway,
you.
for those of you who may not be acquainted with my experience in New Canaan in terms of being able to make some comments, and of course, any citizen can come and make an appointment and make comments, but I have been on the Board of Ed for 12 years, actually 16 years. I'm currently on the Park and Rec Commission. I've been on that for about 8 years. And in a way, public service, I've been on the RTC for 8 years now and currently on that in Treasurer. I'm currently on the Park and Rec as well.
How long on Park and Rec? I was thinking.
7 or 8
Yeah, I
years.
was thinking up
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Yeah.
well, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, thank you too. I know you must have these endless meetings with the amount of people you're seeing
Oh,
We've
unbelievable.
done a little bit, yes.
all day long, probably for a long time.
We're
So,
working hard, trying to make everything better.
well, as you said, I think it was you who said that New Canaanites generally step up when they need to do it. And you guys have obviously been doing it. Judy's been doing it forever. Same over there as well. But anyway, my first suggestion comes to concern the relationship between the Board of Finance and the Town Council. Not that there is a relationship per se. The BOS primary function is to, do prudent guidelines in terms of deciding what the budget should be and making those decisions and what tax rates should be, et cetera. They're not elected, they're appointed. When they strategize bonding and things of that nature. And pretty typically, the main thing they do is they cut budgets. And rarely, but sometimes they can increase the budget. Now, if you switch over to the Town Council, talking about a relationship, if you will, the Town Council does a lot of other things, but it also can cut budgets, but it cannot raise budgets. And the logic behind that, as I understand it, is that the town fathers wanted to prevent elected officials from passing out large raises or raising budgets to curry favor and increase their chances of being elected, which has a lot of merit to it.
Mm.
And I'm sure as you get these discussions, almost every argument that comes before you, a person has some logic they're presenting and some examples, and they make sense and they're believable generally. And then there's others will come along and present facts and have arguments on the other side of the coin. And you have to decide and weigh what's practical and sensible. Being on these boards myself for many years, especially in the Board of Ed, we have people, sometimes 50, 100 parents come and 50% are saying this, 50% are saying that, and they're both right in their own way, in their own perspectives. So you're going to have to decide what to do about it. It's not a black and white thing. It's more of a balancing. A lot has to do with common sense as well. So coming back to that, the fact that the BOF can raise budgets and the town as well as cut, and the Town Council cannot. I think a better middle ground would be that they can't raise budgets. But when you talk about budgets, budgets come to the Board of Finance. When they make a cut, they make a cut. So what I would propose is that the Town Council, which by the way has a lot of interaction with the public as well, and they live in town and everything else, they know what's going on, they have a good pulse on their community, that they could take the cut that the BOF put in place and raise it, but not raising the budget, but just restore it, if they want, to the budget it was.
To the same topic, or can they move it?
Oh, no. No, it can, in fact, that's.
So restore a line item?
A line
or
item,
restore
a line
department budget?
item.
Okay,
And that's
all
a
right.
very critical thing, and it was my next point, in fact, so you beat me to it. That we're only talking about a line item cut, that they could reverse that. They can't increase it beyond the budget request, number one, this proposal. And B, they can't take an item that was not cut and increase it, period.
So basically, you can restore a line item.
That's it.
Simple, stupid.
As a
Yep.
reminder of the budget process, when the Board of Finance finishes their budget, does it go back to the department and they create a new budget to bring to the Town Council? So it still shows the, okay.
It's the same budget, just with the
And
changes.
And I'm guessing your philosophy on that is that the Board of Finance sometimes may be too aggressive with a cut and the town council may be better aligned with the people to say, that's really important, we should put it back.
They might be better aligned.
Yeah.
And don't forget too, the town council is elected while the BOF is appointed.
Yeah.
So that has some credibility in them having to say, a real credibility that they should be able to say both ways.
Are you
this-
aware of any other towns that do it that way?
I am
It's
not.
a very interesting
but-
proposal you put there. I think it's interesting.
Well, it's
Yeah.
been done before, but
Yeah.
it was never, I don't think, posed that there's a limit on it.
Yeah.
As an example.
Well,
It's line
describe
item.
the limit. I want to make sure.
The
I-
limit's what it started at. You can never go above
You
what it
mean when
started
it
at.
came through from the Board of Selectmen
Right.
or before it was up and
When
down?
it goes
within
to the Board of
Fin-
Selectmen.
From the Board of
Sorry,
Select.
from,
Okay,
yeah.
I
to
So
get
the-
let's say it
to
goes to the
to-
Board of
all right.
Selectmen, there's a line item for $1 million. They cut it to 500.
Yeah.
Then they should be able to restore 2 million if they want,
But not above.
but not above.
Yeah.
And not for items, they cannot increase any budgets that they receive.
Understood.
That, yeah.
You get it?
So I think that is a good balance between not wanting to have them politicize it, but yet some common sense.
Okay.
So theoretically, under that construct, if a department came in, are you talking about department by department? There would be that right for the town council to increase it
Line
to
item
the
by line
Line item, it's each line item.
So,
That's huge.
You
If
can't
you-
swap line items, just the
So
same ones. Yeah.
Overwhelming.
but, so if you think about the full budget and it comes into Board of Finance, and let's say hypothetically, it came in at 5%, but there was a stated premise by the Board of Finance and others can weigh in, gee, this year we don't want to go above 3. Hypothetically, under, I think, what I understand is if the Board of Finance on line item started to reduce to get to their stated goal of 3%, enabling the town council to then raise it to the original budget amount, which is 5, let's say.
I don't think they can do that. By the way, they can do that for the Board of Ed. On the Board of Ed, they cannot tell the Board of Ed, us, if you will,
Line
my
items.
former self, they can't say, they can say, I want you to go from 5 to 3, but they can't tell the Board of Ed where to make those
Correct.
cuts.
Correct, but for other,
They can go
that's
line items.
absolutely right, yeah. But I'm just questioning whether if the goal of the Board of Finance in any particular year is to set an overall rate to the budget and does so by reducing line items, to then give the authority to the town council to raise that up and go against what the Board of Finance overall goal is. I'm not sure that that was the intention of how our government is structured. Board of Selectmen, which is elected, Board of Finance appointed, advisory, and then the town council. I don't know, it just seems.
Well,
to me
my
like-
thought of that is
doesn't-
if
no,
the Board of Finance sets that advisory well before it gets to the Board of Selectmen, right? So
Yes.
Yeah.
the Board of Selectmen, if they send a budget to Board of Finance that's not within that advisory, they've already made a decision that they're not
Well,
taking
they
the
don't-
advice.
They usually leave it to the Board of Finance to make those cuts. It's just
Right, they're just
tougher.
not deciding which cut. So the Board of
So it
Selectmen's
gets a
not,
hearing. I
Gets
mean,
a
the principle was really
Yeah.
so that the
okay,
Yeah,
community.
just
could all
historically,
hear.
it's-
that's the way they
there's
do
a
it.
couple of things that are cut, but largely given to the Board of Finance.
That's interesting. So
Sharpen their
that, so the
pencil.
Board of Selectmen doesn't like level the budget to be within the guidance
Board of
of the Board of Finance. They do that after they get the budget. Okay, so that would still make sense then.
But it's a good point, and by the way, it's a suggestion, obviously.
Of course, no.
Other minds could come and say, I like it, but I would like to finesse it or give it some nuance.
There's certainly been a lot of requests about increasing.
But by the way, the Board of Finance can
From-
also set a
from the
5%, and
council.
when they hear the budget proposals and hear the pleas of how we really need this, of
Yeah.
course, they could also go to 5.25%
Indeed.
as well.
And they
Yeah.
have.
And they
I wonder
have-
what impact this, so one of the criticisms that I hear about, I don't know if I call it criticism, but one of the unintended maybe consequences of only being able to cut is that the town council almost feels like they have to cut. And if they could cut or add, would they, do something,
within
would
a
their
limit.
behavior change a little bit?
Keene has a good limit.
Yes, definitely would be a
Or there could also
limit.
be a plus or minus no more than 2% or
Right,
something or
right.
other.
I wonder if that would just change behavior in general, because they're considering cuts or additions. Just an interesting comment.
It was some history, I don't know if you recall this, but where the town council said, gee, I think this is being a little too aggressive on this. And I think it was Health and Human Services, maybe some cut. But what, I think I was on the town council at the time. We just bounced it back to the Board of Finance for reconsideration.
Which I think is a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there is
like
that
that one. I remember
interaction,
that.
and iterative process. You know, the Board of Finance cut, town council said, ouch, that's a little bit too much. Why don't you consider this? And I think there was a meeting of the minds at some
Yeah.
level. So I think that's the process.
Is there,
Well,
is there a
yes, it
written
has-
process to do that?
I'm not
Think about
sure
it.
it's
There's no
written.
written process to do that where,
It just,
No, it's-
well, the written
it's-
process says the town council may not increase the budget from what it receives. So.
If,
so-
when the
but it
town
has
council,
been an
when they vote on the budget, if the town council votes no on this budget,
They can vote straight up no.
yeah, and then it goes back, does it go back to Board of Finance? Is that what, so that's the,
Mhm.
so they
That's the
already have that
policy.
ability to say, listen, we're not going to approve this unless you go back up on this one line item. So that exists to some extent.
To some
Well,
extent.
it's been a threat, but it hasn't ever actually happened that I can remember. It's just a threat. Well, we could always do this kind of thing.
But-
I don't.
But
think
there's
it's-
also the possibility that the Board of Finance says, no, we won't reconsider. And then I still say that there's a lot of credibility to saying the elected officials have some say in increasing it.
And then
even
we
if
could be
they
like the rest of our
disagree.
government and just shut down.
But I also don't think you want to make it an agenda item, and I worry about polarization in that concept.
it's an interesting.
I don't know. I'd have to really think about. It has worked pretty well. I mean, and the one thing you don't want is you don't want someone who's elected by a specific or on a specific agenda to push something like that through at the last minute when.
Well, they'd
No.
have to have the
you
approval of
have
the
to.
town council, of
That's right.
course,
You'd have to have the whole town council.
not just one person, one.
Yeah.
They could,
But I've seen these kind of debates before. Some of them are just not logical.
well, I'm just here to make a suggestion.
But thank you. I'll
What
think
other
about it. I'll
suggestions you
think
have?
about
Yes,
it.
I'll think about that too. What
Yeah.
other suggestions
Well,
we got?
it's probably nothing new, but so I'm sure you've heard about it. And I am, by the way, on the RTC. So what I'm going to bring up is I do not speak as an RTC spokesman, to be clear about that.
Okay.
But I'd like to review the charter change that was instituted 10 years ago regarding how many candidates can be on the ballot versus how many seats there are available.
Okay.
Previously, before 10 years ago, if there were 4 seats available, a party, Democrat or Republican, could only have 4 people up for nomination. Or for-
1-to-1 ratio.
Mhm.
1-to-1 ratio, right. And I was here 10 years ago on the previous incarnation of your current stuff and heard the pros and cons. And I didn't hear of any problems with that system. What I heard was it was somehow undemocratic. That if 5 people wanted to run or 6 for 4 seats, why not? But what I don't see is why it's undemocratic in the sense of, in our town, if the Democrats would like to run 4 people for 4 seats, they can, and Republicans to run 4, and the people have 8 people to choose from. Obviously, they can only do 4, but it's not like the current rules or the rules back then were restricting a democratic movement. It was just somehow more democratic. Now, to come further into it, the Democrats have a caucus process, the Republicans have a caucus process, and they decide these are our candidates that we would like to do. Ours says, we would like ours to say there's 4. It says 4 seats or 3 if there's 3 seats. And the new rules allow someone to say, well, I want to run anyway. Okay, sounds fair enough, but we have a process which is governed by the way state statute. RTC, we have our own statutes, and I assume that the Democrats have their own bylaws affecting this stuff. And I'm happy they can do what they want. We can do what we want. The state has rules. I don't know why the previous CRC commission said, well, we want to get involved in this somehow. We have our caucus rules. And what the current situation allows is that when the people vote, we want 4 candidates, say, a fifth candidate appears. Effectively, what the current CRC rules are doing is allowing, or not CRC rules, but the charter rules are doing, is allowing the voters to get involved effectively with our caucus rules. Okay? I don't see any reason why that
What's
should
your
be.
recommendation exactly? I just want
Oh,
to.
that we go back to the rules prior to, well, actually, that the CRC, the charter gets out of this business of saying who can be on the ballot, how many people can be on the ballot.
So your proposal is that get rid of it, so anybody could be on the ballot?
No,
No?
that the party has a caucus and they say, these are our candidates.
And they could put as many or as little as they want?
Up to 4 is what
Well,
you're
I'm-
saying.
Well,
I'm
I think if
proposing-
the
I'm trying to-
charter specifies, forget,
I
I don't have it right in front of me, but it's not about how many people are on the ballot, it's how many, isn't it? The charter says something about how many you vote for when you're on the ballot. Yes, you know exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
if I may, I just want to kind of share, I was on the commission 10 years ago, and so was very much involved with understanding the right of our electors, the people who vote, to vote for up to 6 candidates. Had nothing, frankly, to do with how the RTC or the DTC operate in terms of their caucuses. It was strictly allowing the voters to make their selections, always 6 seats that are available to, for the electorate to vote, always 6 seats. By charter, always 6 seats, right, that are open to vote for, always 6 seats. It could be an affiliates running for some of those seats, Democrats, Republicans, there's always 6 seats. The charter prior to 10 years ago only allow, even though 6, 8, 12 people could be running at the same time, it only allowed the town voters to vote for 4 of them, even though there's 6 seats. That was always the direction that the Charter Revision Commission was interested in, is to give the voters the right to vote up to 6 candidates because there were 6 seats. Pure and simple. Now, how that impacts the way any caucus works, RTC, DTC, Green Party, whomever, that's up for them to consider. How do we modify the way? How do we make sure that we don't run into complications? For 10 years, there was never a complication until this past year. And then suddenly, oh, we don't quite like how this has turned out. And well, it must be because this went up to 6 votes. It actually, and the Democrats have always had to deal with the fact that even though, quote, they were only given 2 seats to fill, even though they could have always run up to 6 people.
Well, at times they have run more than 2
Indeed, they
people.
have, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And there's nothing
like
prohibits
this
them from
past
doing it.
year, right. And so it never really had to do with the parties. It had everything to do with the voters and their right to vote for the number of seats that were available. So now the consequences, as you pointed out, were not favorable to folks. Some folks on the RTC weren't happy with the fact that there were 5 people on that line. But you know what? This coming election for next 2 years from now, I would imagine that your party is going to want to run 5 people on that line to earn back the seats that they gave up. You don't want to limit yourself to 4.
Well, it's a good point. I couldn't comment to that, but
It's the same point I gave to Tom O'Day. I said, yes, I can understand why you're frustrated about that.
what did Tom say?
Well, he never thought about it. He never
Okay.
thought that maybe about 5, now you want to run 5 people. Do you really want to limit yourself back to the 4? I don't think so.
By the way, have you had Christina Ross here yet?
Oh, she'll be
No,
here,
they're all
she'll be
coming.
here on Tuesday.
Yeah. they're all
Okay, because
coming.
she has, by the way, another take on this.
Good.
And I don't want to tilt it, but she effectively says that, and she hasn't given me the details on this, that people are misunderstanding the state rules. And that,
Maybe so.
and
Maybe they
that-
are.
it doesn't say that, but I have to let her
But
speak for
again,
herself.
that's
there.
what
Is
the
this-
parties have to concern themselves about and how they run their caucus and how many names they want on their line. The voters want the right to vote up to 6 people, regardless who's running,
And they don't have to vote for all 6. They vote for
They don't
3.
have, they can vote for
They
1.
just have the right to vote for 6.
Yeah.
And
that's it.
Kathleen,
No, but they don't have, that, I don't think though, that means that they have that there is a right that we have to, that we, the DTCs, the unaffiliated, the Republicans have to provide 6 candidates.
You don't.
No,
You
no,
don't.
it doesn't say
So
that.
all I'm suggesting is that we don't be forced to provide 6
You're
candidates.
not.
You're not.
You're
We
not.
are, we are because
You have the right to have 6 candidates. You're not forced to have 6
we
candidates.
are though, because the way it runs is that not by our caucus rules, but in this case, Kim Norton ran effectively around the caucus process, which is okay by the current rules, but we with those rules.
So can you do this, Russ?
That's
Can
a
you,
state
if you think the charter says that you can't have 6 people, shows in the charter where it needs to be changed.
No, what it says is that that there can be more than 4 people running. even
So,
though we only
how would you
endorse
change
4.
that language? What language would
Oh, I
you?
don't, I'd have to go into, now you're getting technical, just like I have another concern, by the way, which I might come up involving ethics committee. And if you read the ethics thing,
Yeah.
oh my God, your head will spin,
Yeah.
reading the ethics codes and stuff like that. I don't even know if lawyers could agree exactly with what it says half the time. So I wouldn't get into how do you do this. This thing is, if it's agreed that something should be done, then we could get into the details. But I wouldn't want to.
But we don't think it says what you think it says.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, we think it says you can have up to 6 people. You could have, it's up to you. That's how we're reading it. So if you're reading it differently, you have to show us where it reads.
Well, we had a caucus and we endorsed on a
4.
RTC, we endorsed 4 people.
Is there any reason why you didn't endorse 5?
But a 5th one.
But you have to show
ran.
us why you didn't do 6. Like, show us somewhere in the chart that says we can't do 6. I don't see it.
Oh,
So
no,
You chose not to have 5, right? And
But I don't think
but
anybody
yet,
someone
thought.
applied.
but yet
I think it
the
was
rules
more of a-
allowed, according to the rules of.
State statutes
I thought
allow
it was stupid
if there are
at the
6
time, but-
open seats,
Okay.
that someone can run for that and run on their party line. And that's an issue with your caucus and the state.
Okay,
It has nothing to do with the charter. The charter is all about the voters,
And-
not about the parties.
Kathleen, does the charter, this is only specified in the charter for town council, or does it also specify it, for example, Board of Ed?
For Board
I
of
haven't
Ed,
read it that
same thing. It
Same
has a
thing.
similar.
You see,
That's
what
how they
happens,
changed
what
it
happens
too,
within the
yeah.
Republican committee, I'm guessing, is they picked the 4 people they wanted, so
Yeah.
they ran those 4 people, and they excluded 2 that they could have added, but they chose, these are the 4 we want.
Yeah.
We've already decided who we want. We're gonna win 4, and this is who we're putting up.
right.
And
that's
they
the-
And that's the end of it,
and the
because-
issues in the state
miscalculated,
statute,
I
not the
think,
charter.
yeah.
That's right. I
Now,
agree.
because the charter expanded to allow voters to vote for
For
6,
yeah.
the state statutes say, oh, okay, well, then you can have 6 Republicans
That's right.
run and 6 Democrats run. And there's no limit to unaffiliates.
But then likewise, if the town charter said you can have 4 and that's it. if
Why
you
would the
want.
town charter only allow a voter to vote for 4?
When there's 6 spots.
Because to respect the rights of the party to have their
Well, let's
caucus.
say
It's
you're
not about the
unaffiliated.
party, this is about the voters.
Our biggest party in this town right now is unaffiliated voters. So how could you take that away from them? They may want to vote for 3 Republicans, 3 Democrats. They may want to vote for 1 and 5, but there's 6 seats. They get to vote.
I don't think it was well understood. I don't think it was well explained. I have another question beyond this, and that is, how did we usurp in the last charter review the primary process? Did that go through
There's no
state change,
no
statute change?
usurping the primary process.
Well, you always had to primary if you were not selected within your caucus.
Again, that's a
And-
state issue.
Yeah, that's not
So-
charter, but we're dealing with the charter here. That,
But was that changed in the state statute?
I got no
You
idea.
have to ask this.
Was
Yeah.
I think we
I
need
don't- I
some
don't-
legal help on this.
But that's
because-
not part of the charter.
Yeah, it is. It is
No,
part of the
it's
No, it's
charter.
not. No, primary
The primary is not part of the charter?
No.
No.
has nothing to do with it.
No.
That's state statutes.
Only.
And Kim Norton didn't primary. She did the thing of getting I think. it was
She didn't have to primary
5%
anymore.
of the votes.
Against
kind of.
state statutes.
That's
Yeah.
right. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We have nothing to do with
I
that.
think you could take it up,
What
you know,
did
look,
we do
if
wrong
you want to take it up
before?
with state statutes. you
Well, I agree, by the
absolutely
way,
gotta-
it's very complicated state statute versus our caucus committees versus, rules versus charter rules.
The charter is actually very simple
Very simple.
on this one. It
It's
has
all about the
it's
voters.
really
It's
the
about
other
the
ones.
voters.
Yeah.
But Christina will talk about this, I'm pretty sure, further.
You can.
Yeah.
And she will be able to do it more in research than I have done.
And in 2 years, I expect to see 5 candidates on the RTC.
Well, I think that's, I was gonna say it's a miscalculation if
Don't-
it stands the
don't cut
way it
yourself
is, and
short.
it will
They-
then
They
be
didn't,
adjusted.
yeah, they weren't accounting for.
Why wouldn't it be, you say 5, why wouldn't it be 6?
They could.
Well, I mean, they
Well,
could
they're-
go to 6, but 5 is
Well-
what they.
well, 5
they
because
couldn't- They can seat because they lost. a
That's
seat.
right.
Because the Democrats will have their 33% or 30%, even if we get 5 Republicans elected
Yeah.
next go around.
I get that. Oh, yeah.
That's why.
That's just a numbers game, yeah.
That's where 5 comes from.
The 5 comes from what?
From-
Because the Democrats don't have just their minimum number of seats anymore, so that the
That's
Republicans
right.
can actually.
Minority representation,
That's
majority representation.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
By the way,
part.
talk
Okay,
about the
all right.
oddities has always struck me. It's odd, as you say, the unaffiliated are the largest party, but yet they're not a party.
They're not a party.
I always
So
want to,
true.
I always
Such
want
a-
to say
yes,
that.
It's kind of, there's so many
They're
things
the
going on.
largest block of voters.
There's so many things
How does that sound?
that are not on the face of it logical. For instance, why are constables elected? But much more importantly, Board of Finance is appointed. Who knows? And why constables, by the way?
Are elected, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's like the dog catcher.
Look, there's
You're gonna
so,
elect
there's
the
so
dog
many,
catcher,
there
but
are so many strange.
Going to appoint the audit committee as an example and stuff like that, which I believe, by the way, should be appointed. Well, that.
The
now-
audit committee should be appointed.
Yeah, well, it is
It
appointed.
is.
Well, should it stay appointed?
Yeah, I think so, because, and by the way, my reasoning is that
Disagree.
the average
You don't want
public
audit
person
out there?
doesn't spend the time to understand how well qualified these people are or not. And these people have to be very qualified.
Yeah.
They're getting appointed not because they're popular or they're good speakers, but because they have extremely detailed and experienced knowledge of what required to do audits and what, well, not to do the audits per se, but to make sure that when your organization is up for the audit, that you will pass.
Mm.
So they should be appointed because other people have, the average voter doesn't have the experience or the time to look into those issues. That's why they should be appointed as an example, which sort of leads me to my next suggestion. Go ahead. Which is not about making a change to the RCT, the charter. It has to do with not changing it. That's kind of a repeat of what Jim just was talking about in terms of the town clerk. But I would like, more importantly, to say effectively the same thing for the town treasurer. I've heard that there's an interest in getting the town treasurer appointed, and also some interest possibly in making that appointment report to the board or be part of the Board of Finance. And I think the nature of what the treasurer does is somewhat akin to the audit committee. It keeps people in line with the laws, as Jim pointed out about the town council, the town clerk, and has to be independent and is not to be subject to the political whim of what's expedient, and has a fiduciary responsibility in those regards. And I think it should be elected and not appointed, because appointment then can be exposing you to currying favor, or, the kind of things that happens in real life, talking about experience and stuff like that. And in addition, it does have coming back to, if it was appointed and was part of, even or not appointed, but elected and part of the finance department, the finance department is so different than what the treasury does. They're a process-oriented group.
No, that's not.
They have there's thousands of rules and regulations. You got to do this has to be signed off twice, kind of a thing. It's rote kind of stuff, and it's a very slow process. The treasurer is helping to organize and put out to bid bonding and things like that. The finance department doesn't do bonding.
No,
doesn't
they
do
don't.
bidding
It's
and
not
stuff like that and
It's not.
evaluation. They just make sure you do the rules. Each checks boxes checked. Very different skill sets and very different approaches. They're not aligned in terms of what they do. So why you would put them under finance, I have no idea. Number one. But two, I think it should be elected for the same reasons that Jim was saying. And apropos, I just happen to have my list also that the same thing is going on possibly with the town clerk, that there's talk about not being elected. I think it should remain an appointed position. And as Jim said about
Oh, elected, you mean?
You mean elected?
elected.
You said appointed.
Oh, I'm sorry, elected. And as Jim said too, personally, that while this is not really about Claudia or about Andrew, that I agree Claudia does a good job. People complain about her, yes. Who doesn't complain about someone, about Deanna or anyone else, or the police department, Board of Ed? A lot of complaints. We should do this, we should do this, very typical. You've been through it, at least somebody who's been through that.
Yep.
A lot of complaints, nothing unusual there. I think Claudia does a good job. I think Andrew does a great job. He instituted this thing where we're making money now on our credit card or debit card expenses, an example. Jim Hersom, or John Hersom, who used to be the treasurer. Don, I'm sorry. He farmed a lot of that out, and we town had to pay for it, just like we do pay Andrew. But I believe we paid at least as much or more when Don was doing it.
No, we paid very little, but he was only a signature. He
Yeah.
didn't
I think we
participate.
paid 40,000, all right?
We're paying 40 now.
Yeah.
I think it's
No, it was
48,
like
Part-time,
1,800
yeah.
or something.
What
It
what
was-
Jean's referring to
Right.
is what was paid to UBS,
Oh.
the outside asset manager was higher than what we're currently paying the treasurer who's taken it all
Right.
inside.
because Hersham didn't have the skill set to do the job, except to be the signatory.
No,
That job was
it was
farmed
done-
out,
it
and
was
we
done.
actually were paying
Not
more.
really. It was done in town hall. Trust me, it was done in town hall.
Not when I was CFO. It was
No,
all
no.
outsourced, had been all outsourced to UBS for many years. And when I was asked to come in and be interim CFO.
Well, that
it
was Rob's time.
It was,
Yeah, it
but it
was
had been with
different.
UBS and
Yeah.
a couple, because there was nobody with the skill set to
No,
invest in.
no, I know,
Yeah.
but it had been, I mean, up until that charter review, it had been handled, well, technically by the first selectman. I gathered the Board of Finance together, but that was later what you're referring to. I remember that was when Rob, brought you in. Yeah.
What other recommendations you got? What else we got?
Oh, this is a little bit of an oddball one,
Okay,
and I don't know there's a solution to it. And part of the answer is that you can't have one size fits all shoes. It doesn't. And yet it's not very practical a lot of times to have exceptions. But being on the Board of Ed, I was at times invited to go to plays at the middle school or the high school.
Mhm.
Kind of like the superintendent does that. It's part of their job to go and into the trenches to see what's going on. Just like I would go to English as a second language in the elementary schools to see what they're actually doing. Okay, now part of what the ethics committee says is you can't get any favor that's not open to the general public. Sound reasoning, but at some points impractical. As a Board of Ed member, I want to go see what's going on in the trenches sometimes, and sometimes that includes going to a play as an example. We were given tickets now and then to do this, not excessively or anything like that. The current ethics prevent that.
all right.
It prevents us from doing certain things because there's a charge to it.
I think there's a threshold to that, though.
I went through this morning looking at the thing and my eyes were getting blurry, as I said, and I haven't researched it fully, and it did talk about diminius,
De minimis.
but I didn't find the definition of diminius.
Yeah. I think a $10 ticket is probably
Well, most of
fine.
the tickets are more than $10.
Are they?
So you're suggesting that people like on the Board of Ed should go to school activities? Free.
For free.
Free.
Yeah.
I would think so too.
Yeah.
What's the issue?
Well, we can't because of the.
Well, that could be just a sentence. I mean, that could be a-
Because of the ethics rules
All right.
that are in place.
That's not, I don't
I mean,
think.
to do our
that's
job
insurmountable.
correctly.
I think a ticket of even $50 is de minimis, so.
So do I.
Yeah.
Might be $70, but anyway, it's.
We're not
No, they're under 30 usually.
Okay.
I thought so.
Well, there you go. But anyway.
I mean,
Not,
don't go up.
not to exceed the cost of a drink at Solway.
So I say this is something that's hard to deal with and it's a sticky issue
Yeah.
and,
All right.
in that area,
What
but
else, what else you got?
well, that's it.
How about term limit?
How about-
Term limits, yeah.
I'm with Jim. I don't have a problem with people maybe being out after 10 years, say, picking a number.
Hmm.
I certainly would not make it less than 2.
Yeah.
Because there is a learning curve.
Less than
Sometimes
2 terms, you mean?
Board of Ed is a high learning curve. For
Yeah.
instance, we've got a lot of state statutes, and as you probably know, the Board of Ed does not report to the town.
Learning curve is big on all this stuff.
We're not a creature of the town. We're a creature of the state. But anyway, there's a learning curve there.
Yeah.
And there's a learning curve with
All of it.
all of it. And we
All
have
of it.
union negotiations. Even that's a learning curve. And you don't do it every year either.
How do you
Kind of a
feel
thing.
about 4 terms? Does that seem too excessive?
What's the highest duration of a term for all our commissions?
4.
4 years in this town.
Yeah,
4 terms?
Some
I
are 2,
think,
some are 4, some are 3.
4.
yeah.
Well, I did serve 3 terms on the Board of Ed.
Yeah.
Went off for 10 years and came back.
Took a year off and
You
came
can
back.
still do, I mean, that would be.
Yeah,
If
people can
you
do-
introduce term limits, that would be the thing. You could come back. It's consecutive terms.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
you're
yeah.
right. And that's the part you
As
need
another,
to,
it doesn't
yeah.
apply to presidents.
It doesn't, be right,
So
that's correct.
you would have to state that. It's not
Correct. Yeah.
obvious. I would not have a problem with limiting it to 3 terms.
Yeah.
Just one voice out of,
Yeah.
what, 150?
But the argument there, and I don't agree with it, but the argument there is that let the voters decide when you've, reached a maximum capacity.
Well-
They don't pay enough attention.
Well, but
These are for appointed positions, I'm referring.
Well,
to.
that is similar, but that is.
But the same
similar.
argument holds to the BOF versus the TC thingamajig, where right now, we don't let the elected people raise the budget. And that goes with a lot of boards that we don't let elected people like Park and Rec. We can do what we want, so to speak.
But they don't have a budget. I mean,
Oh, we have a
technically, they
budget.
don't have
Yeah,
a
they do.
budget.
They
I
do.
mean, that's not like, some of these that really do.
But
to
anyway,
deal with, to reflect on.
that's my
Well,
thing.
no, thank you. Listen,
Yeah.
Those are
Thank
great.
you.
The way
I
we look-
appreciate
yeah.
that. You really, you covered the waterfront.
the way we look at it is all input's good input.
Yeah.
It is.
It's
I
all, and it's all,
appreciate it,
and
really.
it's so many different sides of the same and everybody makes some sense. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's-
Makes you rethink just because there's always a different viewpoint.
That's one thing I've
Yeah.
learned by being
Oh,
on
yeah.
committees, that it does pay. You think you know what you're doing and you're right, and then you start talking to some other people who have some different opinions, and I'd say 20% of the time, my mind has changed.
Yeah,
Me too.
Just throwing
Me
a
too.
number out.
Are not as dug in. In other words, the issue that you thought was right forever, all of a sudden you say, hey, maybe not.
I came here, I didn't know what one issue would be when I came here. I was just asked to take a look at it, and so I come with a blank slate.
Well,
great.
it's so voluminous,
it
the
is.
charter too. and
Well,
what it
I'm a
ref-
little worse. I come with a slate, which is not blank, but I learned that I haven't recognized all
Good.
the other perspectives or the other issues that are really at play. I mean, in the BOE, we have parents that, we have heavy state regulation, by the way, such as the police department does too, talk about maybe why the commissioner is excluded or something like that.
Yeah.
One reason might be because there's so many state regulations going on here as well, but the Board of Ed is heavy state regulations. We have parents, they want this and they want that, and it turns out you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things. So that's a part of the learning curve and part of the educational process by speaking to people and even coming to testify or to present itself and hearing your feedback is part of the experience.
Well,
But
we
thank you.
appreciate it. Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Really
Thank you
appreciate
so
Are you done
much,
for the day
Jean.
now, besides your own little
I think
discussion?
We're done.
No, I think.
No, we
we're
can't
it.
have any further
Can you-
discussion.
you can turn it off?
Yeah.
Well, we need to end the meeting.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, all right. So do I have a motion
Motion to
dismiss?
close this thing.
Yes,
Adjourn.
okay,
Second.
whichever. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
So let me ask, at some point, is there going to be you with the list of issues for
Yeah.
all these committees and we're going to go